I put it in my mouth, right, and then I go... my mouth goes round and round like a tumble dryer.
Yeah.
And that means that I'm whooshing all areas of the inside of my...
so you're doing that rather
mouth.
than brushing now.
Exactly.
Calling all emos, computer programmers and blokes called Malcolm who still live with their mum.
Crikey, there must be more to life than this.
It's the revolutionary virtual human interface you can access without ever leaving your bedroom.
And what were you up to the other night? That's what I'd like to know.
How cool is that?
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. The two mics, Parry and Graham, on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! The picture can get the dog to do what it has learned.
Yeah.
I never cease to be amazed by what dogs are capable of.
They are incredible creatures.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yeah.
However, I don't think they can read.
Well, yeah, but this is the first dog who's been taught to read.
Well, he's not reading War and Peace, is he?
Well, he's been taught to read, though. Of course not reading War and Peace, you idiot. How would you turn the pages over?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And Burns Night. You know, what a special night Burns Night is.
Isn't it great, yeah.
And 1 year...
And here we are. This is it.
This is it.
Burns, I mean, not last night, tonight, coming.
Yes,
Wednesday evening.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to go and buy a haggis later.
Are you going to buy a haggis, are you?
I am.
Are you going to have it with?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided.
Let the wind blow, low, let the wind blow, hey. I've just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm a wee young boy and I never cry. Donald, where's your trousers?
That's very early for a sing-song, I have to say.
Yeah, but nevertheless...
I might have it with the traditional tatties and neats. But I may not, because there's a bunch of... Because, you know, now the Borough Market is on the doorstep. I may just get a couple of other bits and pieces to have with it. I quite like eating on its own, to be honest.
And a spoonful of whiskey.
Bit of whiskey. Yeah, I haven't got any whiskey at home, funny enough. All my whiskey's
sounds
in
good.
Sussex. I know, all I've got is a spoonful of grappa.
Just a spoonful of grappa helps the haggis go down.
It's 6 minutes past 1. You've already sung 2 songs.
Now then, let me tell you, I have a plan.
Have you? First time for everything.
Which I hope we will... I'm going to ignore that. Which I hope we will carry out 1 year. But I meant to invite you to Portsmouth for Burns Night,
Did
okay?
you?
Except that I forgot it was tonight.
Well, it's always at midweek, though, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's the problem. Do they not do them at weekends like they do fireworks night?
They sometimes kind of amalgamate it and do one at the weekend. Yeah. So there might be one this Saturday coming, I suppose.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a boat parked in Portsmouth Harbour called HMS Warrior.
Is it a boat?
Yeah,
and
the
ship?
It's a ship, actually.
Yeah.
And the way the Royal Navy's going, it might be recommissioned back into service soon, because it was the first ever iron-hulled boat that the Royal Navy ever had.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a magnificent vessel. I think you've seen it when the ferry comes in on the Portsmouth side, you know. It
What
parks
ferry?
up. The Gosport Portsmouth ferry.
I've only been on that once, and it was dark.
Oh, was it? Oh, perhaps you didn't see it then.
Well,
Although it is lit up at night.
Well, we went from your pad, right,
yes.
Gosport side, over to Portsmouth.
That's right.
That was it.
Well, it's on the Portsmouth side.
Well, you didn't point it out to me.
Well,
you were too busy explaining to me that you weren't going to get me a return ticket.
Excuse me.
Because I wasn't going back.
Excuse me.
So I wasn't really that interested in the bloody view, to be honest.
That's like saying if you're walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, oh, you didn't point the White House out to me. I mean, it's so huge, this boat, that you can't miss it. You know, it's a massive,
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Maybe I was on the wrong side.
Warship from the Lord Nelson era. Well, a bit later than Lord Nelson.
Maybe I was on the wrong side.
It's the 1870s.
I didn't know he had iron ships, Lord Nelson.
No, he didn't. It was about the 1870s,
Who was
actually.
in charge of the Admiralty then?
Ironclad. Who was in charge?
Yeah, I know, do you?
It would have been... No, it would have been...
Lord Nelson III.
No, it would have been Admiral Hornblower or somebody like that.
Hornblower.
You know what I mean? Yeah, somebody like that.
You reckon?
You know. Hornblower was a fictional character, but that's what we call our heroes.
I wish you were a fictional character.
Anyway, I'm just going to ignore these.
There's some great tennis on, you know.
Inanities.
Why are you talking about old boats?
Anyway, the reason I'm saying is that every Burns Night, they have a ball, Burns Night ball, on board HMS Warrior.
Can't imagine anything worse.
And, I can. It'd be fantastic. I've been on Warrior,
Have you?
and I've been on Victory.
Have you been to the ball, though?
No.
We're talking about Portsmouth here, aren't we?
This is the point.
The great and the good of Portsmouth?
Well, because it's a seafaring nation, and there were quite a lot of Scotsmen who joined the Royal Navy. Actually, there weren't a lot who joined voluntarily. What they used to do is, when they used to come down to Portsmouth begging, we used to kidnap them, press gang them, and put them on board the boats.
Well, I can tell you this, that the 1 in 4 people from the armed services are from Scotland, which is by way and above a much bigger proportion of people.
I have no doubt about it.
Than the proportion of Scots to English generally.
I have absolutely no doubt about it.
Many of them go into the army, though, the Marines and the Paras and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they're like a bit of a punch-up.
Yeah, tough guys.
Yeah, they are.
But no, I think Burns Night is a fantastic tradition. competition. What will be happening now in Glasgow tonight, or Edinburgh?
Well,
Edinburgh, our favourite town. What will be happening
there'll
there?
be lots and lots of do's going on. I mean, normally if I was in Scotland, I'd be at a Burns night do
right,
tonight.
yeah, of course you would, yeah.
I once went to a terrible
Well, we should have done this, We should have celebrated this, because remember, we are a worldwide audience, and that includes people from Scotland. I am demanding that we have some sort of...
we could do something tonight
Burns
if we wish.
Exactly, some Burns night celebration.
You want me to bring you some haggis in?
Better haggis.
Yeah, some whiskey. Although we've got the wine people coming in tomorrow.
Wine people.
You might want to come in a taxi.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But I mean,
I'm happy to bring some whiskey and some haggis in.
No. That's tempting us into the devil's buttermilk.
But you can't have Burns night without whiskey.
Well, that's true. We'll have to think about it. We'll think about it. Now, listen.
Think about it. Hang on, I've got a couple of things to read to you apropos your explanation of what did you call it?
Carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel, yeah. But you called it something else, though.
Capal tunnel.
Capal tunnel, yeah. Here's one from Christo, who says the condition is called carpal tunnel syndrome. Yeah. Impossible for Jason to have this from a blow by a 2-year-old. # plank.
Yes.
And another one from Peter, who says carpal tunnel is sediment in the blood settling in the wrist, ?
Yeah.
It's a pinched nerve in the wrist, Porky. You're a dangerous man.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Listen, I've had it explained to me by some of the finest medical brains in this country.
Really?
So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when I do.
All right. Well, I'm just telling people not to ask you for medical advice.
No.
Technically speaking, you might be breaking some rules.
I'm not offering medical advice to anybody. I'm offering a diagnosis of what a particular condition is. I'm not telling people how it's treated or how they should treat it, but Jason, who's clueless on things that happen to his... Well, he is, clearly. He's, walking around mystified as to how, because he picked his child up, his lovely little child, the wrong way, and virtually sort of semi-broke his wrist.
Well, you can't strain yourself.
And now he's wandering around wondering why, he's in pain and agony and all that kind of stuff.
You've got to be very careful.
You'd think, wouldn't you, as a former professional athlete, he'd have some idea how to keep his body in good shape,
These are the strange little injuries that you can get from bizarre sort of domestic incidents. I mean, most people have an incident in their home which will end up getting them into the A&E.
Yes.
Which is something they couldn't possibly ever kind of think about.
A lot of accidents happen in the home.
They do.
No,
and you can twist yourself, not doing anything athletic. You can end up, just reaching for the can of peas the wrong way. You can get yourself,
drop it on your foot and break your toe and all that kind of stuff.
All that sort of thing.
Now, listen, what about this dog? You haven't told the audience about the dog.
What dog?
This beautiful dog that actually got the truth out of the Heroes and Villains competition last night.
It's not a very bright dog, I'm afraid.
It's a beautiful dog.
No, it's a black Labrador. It's owned by Steve, right?
And what's the name of the dog?
I don't know. He hasn't told us what the name of the dog is.
Steve, you need to supply the name, please.
But he's sent us a little video, which we've retweeted.
Beautiful.
He's a lovely little guy. And basically what he did was he took two pet dog toys, two little kind of teddies, for want of a better word.
Yes.
Stuffed animals.
Yes.
And he put one on one side of the room with the name Porky on it.
Yep.
And one on the other side of the room with the name MG on it.
That's it.
And then he sent the dog to go and choose one.
That's right.
When we were doing the Heroes and Villains last night.
Yeah.
So clearly the dog had no conception of which one he was going for because of any kind of, intelligent response. It was. Why are you playing it out?
Well, I just want people to know.
Why are you playing it out?
Why shouldn't I?
Right, sit down.
Well, because it doesn't sound very good.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm so pleased that the dog went for mine.
Well, you're so pleased because the dog went for yours.
Yes, I think it's great. Yeah.
If the dog had gone for mine,
he didn't
you wouldn't want to mention it, would you?
The dog listened to the competition and weighed up the various nominations and then rushed straight over to Porky.
Maybe you should put a tweet out to all of your dog fans.
Well...
who are the only ones that can make any sense of half the stuff you come out with.
Well, dogs are very intelligent creatures, as we all know. And they're also loyal.
This dog is not intelligent.
They're also loyal.
I can tell you right now,
listen.
Even Steve says, I thought my dog was intelligent.
Yeah.
#stupid dog.
Yeah. By the way, I have signed up 100% to the new campaign which is being taken on by all responsible institutions to ban plastics from our oceans.
Oh, is this the Sky thing?
Oh, don't you think we should get involved in it?
Well, I read a piece this morning.
Don't you think we should get involved?
It's
one of the greatest threats to wildlife.
Get involved in what way?
Well, I mean,
what are you going to do?
Do you know what I would do?
What would you do?
Wander along the banks of the River Thames at low tide and gather random plastic bottles.
There aren't very many down there.
Well, there are.
I can tell you that because I live by the banks of the
Thames.
Right?
There are.
And I look down when the tide is out.
I mean,
you don't see any plastic bottles.
I've been campaigning for years against people who throw fishing lines into ponds and
fishing lines.
Yeah, and ducks get strangled on them. Well, what they do is they have these lead weights on fishing lines, and when they can't get them off, they cut them and throw them in the pond.
Oh, really?
And then the ducks get them wrapped around their beaks and all this kind of stuff, and swans.
I had some duck today.
Did you?
Yeah, duck chorizo. It was very good.
Oh, where was that then?
Where? I bought it. and cooked it.
Oh, I didn't know you could buy it. I thought it was something you got in a Chinese restaurant.
What, duck chorizo?
Yeah.
You don't get duck chorizo in a Chinese restaurant.
Well, you get duck in Chinese restaurants.
You do get duck, but it's not the only place you get it.
Okay.
You know, duck is an English staple. I mean, people eat duck in all sorts of forms.
They do indeed. And what is
Gressingham
chorizo?
duck?
What does chorizo mean?
Well, chorizo is like the Spanish sausage, right?
Oh,
but you
God.
can make it out of anything.
Can't think of anything worse.
Well, you can. Why? Well,
a Spanish sausage.
What's wrong with that?
Yuck. Well, I don't mind a Spanish kind of, ice cream or something.
A Spanish ice cream?
Paella, Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't mind a Spanish paella.
Well, you can put chorizo in that.
Spanish sausage.
Although some people think you shouldn't, but you can.
If Spanish sausages were any good, Walls would have a factory over there, wouldn't they?
Walls?
Yeah. Because they make the best sausages.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
They do.
I should buy you some decent sausages. Anyway, I had some duck chorizo, which is very nice.
Yes, well...
Very pleasant.
I'm sure about
that. But I don't know that you're going to do anything to save the wildlife in the sea.
Oh, no, I am. I'm very keen on this.
Because, I mean, you're one of the biggest consumers of wildlife in the sea.
Not at all.
You're always eating fish and chips. You're always eating fish fingers.
What I'm worried about
You're the one that's killing all the fish for this factory fishing.
Yeah, shall I tell you an absolutely really accurate story about how I think we are ruining our environment?
A really accurate one?
Yeah,
Probably the first time we've ever heard an accurate story.
I bought some shower...
time.
Just listen to this. This is important.
Yeah.
I bought some shower gel the other night, or the other day.
What kind? Was it that expensive stuff you get from Palmolive?
It's very expensive stuff.
Palmolive expensive
It's very expensive stuff. And I can't remember which supermarket I got it from, so I'm not going to brand
Maybe it
the
was Sainsbury's when you were buying your shoes.
It might have been. But anyway, the point is, I get into the shower and I squeeze it out into my hand and I think, this is a bit rough. And it was full of those little ball things that scour your skin. What are they called?
Microbeads.
Microbeads.
What do you mean it was full of them?
It was full of them.
You can't see microbeads.
No, you can feel them. It's like sand.
Rubbish.
It's it. No, I'm telling you. And I was amazed.
I'm telling you.
And I thought, I know what's happening
rubbish.
here. This is going to go down the plug hole
right,
and end up in the sea. And then it will end up inside a cod. And that cod might be the cod that is chopped up for my fish fingers.
Possible.
I will end up eating the contents of my shower.
Yeah,
this is what I thought.
So what, you cut out the middleman and just put the drain pipe into the sink and then put it into a pot and drink it?
No, you idiot. What I'm saying is we have to be aware of these things, okay?
Yeah, all right. Well, we haven't got any more time to discuss these things. We've got tennis to talk about. We've got Liverpool to talk about.
Now, is the big game happening in the tennis?
Yes, well, it is
what time to kick off?
It's about 2 o'clock.
Excellent.
There's the kick-off.
Excellent.
We'll keep you informed. This is Talk Sport.
Woo, woo.
The Two Mics. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as ho-ho-hos.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We are waiting the quarter-final in the Australian Open, down under, of course, between Serena Williams and Johanna Konta.
Sure are.
Right now, it's Ms. Pliskova against Ms. Lukic Baroni. So they're apparently, I think, in the second or third set. We'll keep you updated as soon as it comes on. It should be around about 2 o'clock or shortly thereafter. A couple of tweets for you. Coxie has sent a lovely webcam picture in, which shows absolutely nothing. It's a current view from the HMS Warrior webcam of the Gosport Ferry, much akin to Porky's Compass Mentis, very foggy. So it must be still very foggy down by the coast.
Well, it is. I told you, didn't I?
It's not foggy up here.
Last time I was there, I could not even see the water below my balcony in my penthouse.
And you're not that high up, really, are you?
No. Well, I am. It's penthouse style.
Well, it's not very high up, is what I'm saying.
And what happens is
very low-lying fog.
As you're standing there, you see the fog roll in through the harbour walls.
Mist rolling in from the sea.
Yeah, mist rolling in from the sea, definitely, and it blankets everything. Believe me.
Here's one from Hammy who says, from Stephen. I think Porky's turned into a mad doctor with his diagnosis of Jason Cundy. And he's got a picture of him.
I saw that.
And Dennis says Porky just wants to celebrate Burns Night so he can get drunk.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's a general idea, isn't it?
Well, tomorrow night you can't get drunk because we've got a show to do.
No, exactly.
Now, how about this from Robbo in Dagenham? Porky, I think you would want to know this week is the anniversary of the Battle of Rorke's Drift. 1879.
Is it?
More VCs won that day than any other single battle.
Is that Rorke's Drift? Yes,
Rorke's
I remember
Drift.
that. That was the basis of Zulu, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Michael
fantastic.
Caine.
Yeah, great film.
Yeah.
It's also, by the way, yesterday was the day upon which, in 1965, Sir Winston Churchill died at the age of 90, sadly.
Well, should we have some kind of a quiz on one of these subjects?
Well, I would like to take advice from the audience here.
Would you?
I think we should announce the quiz earlier in the week than we normally do.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's fair to leave it till the night before, so to speak. You know what I mean?
All right.
But what I was going to say is, this week there's a choice of two subjects. One is Winston Churchill, which we've never done.
Okay.
And of course, some would say the greatest ever living Englishman. Except that he's now dead, obviously, but he was when he was living. And you know, the greatest...
A man who was once the world's greatest living Englishman.
Yes, that's right. The greatest historic Englishman, some would say.
I don't think anyone would ever say that.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would. I mean, there's hardly anybody greater who stopped us from being invaded by another nation, all that kind of stuff.
No, he did it single-handedly.
He almost did.
He almost did.
Well, he took over a coalition government.
Matter of thousands of people who died fighting a war.
Well, you had to defend ourselves, otherwise we were going to be subjugated. But there's that. Or because it has caused such a wave of affection this week, the death, sadly, of... sorry, you know, Hello, the great actor.
The bloke from Hello.
Yeah. 75.
Ed
it was.
Somebody, was it?
No. He spelt his Christian name.
Dennis.
Funny K. His surname was
Funny
K.
Danny K.
No, you idiot. His surname was K, and his first name
Oliver K.
No, he spelled it differently, didn't he, to everybody else?
Hey,
what's his name?
Ray K.
No.
Well,
anyway,
surely you know. You gave a great tribute to him yesterday.
Rene
K.
Well, Rene was.
Well, it's not a very good idea to have a quiz on a guy's name you can't remember.
Well, don't worry about it. Was it Ronald? No, that's Ronald Cray. No. That's right, yeah, wasn't it?
Charlie Cray?
No, it was K.
Howard K?
No, you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about, yeah. I do. Well, do you want to do it on...
Here we go.
So, I mean,
Gordon K.
Gordon K.
But it's spelled Gorden because of a mistake when he was in hospital once.
Really?
Yeah, at the end of the bed...
presumably when he was born.
The nurse... No, he was in hospital with some illness and the nurse wrote Gorden and he said, oh, that's different to the ordinary Gordon with an O-N. I'll stick with that.
Well, why did he stick with that?
I don't know, he just did. I mean, people
bizarre.
do. I mean, for instance... Yeah. The woman who would be the President of the United States of America, but is not...
You mean Hillary?
Yes, has the only spelling in the world of Hillary with two L's in them, isn't she?
Well, there must be other people who call themselves Hillary with two L's.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, she deliberately spelt it that way because she said she felt she was sort of, I wouldn't say superior, but different from a very early age.
She wanted an extra L.
She wanted an extra L.
How bizarre.
Right, yeah.
Well, so in what way do you want to involve the audience in this quiz then?
Well, I think we should have a vote whether the quiz should be on Winston Churchill, who was, some would say, the greatest ever Englishman, or the greatest ever Briton, perhaps. Right. And because, of course, it was Britain who fought in the Second World War, not just England. Was. And there were very, very brave Welshmen and Irishmen and Scotsmen. My father told me that. Or we could have it on Hello.
What's his name again?
Gordon K.
Gordon K. All right. Well, so should we do a Twitter?
This only once.
Should we do a Twitter poll?
Let's do a Twitter poll right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do that.
Yep.
While you're preparing the next subject that we're going to talk about.
Yes. Well, the next subject we should talk about really is Thomas Telford.
Thomas Telford.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you were talking about Burns Night.
Yes.
And Thomas Telford was a Scotsman who was simply the most incredible engineer that I think we've ever had. Do you know what?
What, you mean better than Brunel?
I was about to say, Brunel, of course, is very close to my heart because when I go down to the coast, there is an establishment I use and they've actually...
Because a pub called after him, you mean?
It's not a pub, it's a room in a restaurant and it's called the Brunel Room.
Why?
Because it's dedicated to...
because they've dedicated a room to a guy?
Yeah.
That's your sort of point of contact.
Well, they've got a picture.
Brunel Museum is within walking distance of where I live here in London.
Is it?
Yes.
That's good news. Because, of course, he built that horrible little tunnel, didn't he? Just under the Thames.
The Rotherhithe Tunnel.
Rotherhithe Tunnel, yeah.
What do you mean horrible little tunnel?
Oh, it's a horrible little tunnel.
It's a great tunnel.
It's a horrible little tunnel.
I love that tunnel.
Do you know 13 men lost their lives building that tunnel because it kept getting flooded and collapsing?
I lost my life stuck in a traffic jam.
Yeah, I bet you did. But anyway, so Brunel was a great guy. And, in fact, in the establishment I'm talking about...
It was a lot more fun when they didn't have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
I bet it was. In Portsmouth, they have that fantastic picture of him standing next to the chains of the Great Eastern. You've seen that picture, haven't you?
No.
He's got his top hat on. Yeah. He's got his cigar cheroot in his mouth.
Right.
He's standing there in his Edwardian, garb, and he's standing next to the chains of the Great Eastern, which is the boat he built.
Was he more Victorian?
He was more Victorian, actually, yeah.
Why was he dressed as an Edwardian then?
He liked Edwardian fashion. And these chains were the biggest chains ever made to hold the biggest ship that was ever built, which was the Great Eastern.
The Great Eastern, yes.
Yeah.
It had about 4 funnels or something, didn't it?
It did indeed, yeah. And do you know what? It was such a unique design for a ship, you couldn't tell the front from the back.
Really?
Because they were both the same shape.
Really?
Yeah, that's
sure?
right. Yeah, I'm certain, yeah.
That doesn't sound right. Could it go in both directions?
No, it couldn't go in both directions.
What's the point of having both ends of the ship shaped like a bow?
Well, he thought it was better for its ability to plough through the waves, so to speak. Yeah, I'm certain. Yeah,
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I'm certain. Yeah, and so most people say it's Brunel. However, I've been sent a book called Bridges and Troubled Waters, Man of Iron, Thomas Telford.
Oh yeah,
and it is truly brilliant. Let me tell you what he built. Okay.
Yes.
He built. He was 77 years old when he died, Telford.
Okay.
He built a huge chunk of the infrastructure of Georgian and early Victorian Britain. He built 17 canals, 37 different docks around the coast of Britain, docks and harbours.
Yes.
He built 93 bridges and aqueducts, right?
Yeah. What's the most famous one?
The most famous one is the Pontycysylvite Aqueduct in northeast Wales.
That doesn't sound like the right pronunciation.
Yes, it is.
Well, I bet you know where that is, because that's your manor, isn't it?
Well, it carries the River Dee.
Does it?
Yes, and it was completed in 1805.
What, an aqueduct?
It's an aqueduct.
How does an aqueduct carry a river?
Well, it
must be a canal, surely.
It was a canal. It was a tributary of the River Dee.
Well, yeah, but it'd be a man-made piece of water. It couldn't be a river.
No, but the water was supplied from the River Dee into the canal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And can I say, it is the longest and highest in the whole of Britain, and therefore a World Heritage Site. It stands today, having been built in 1805. The pillars that hold it have never even had to be repointed.
Wow.
I.e., refilled with cement and all that kind of stuff. It was such a solid construction.
Very good.
Now, his 3 greatest...
I wonder if you can take a narrow boat around it. I wonder if you can take a narrow boat along it.
Well, you can. Telford's 3 greatest monuments, right?
Yeah.
The Pontycysylt Aqueduct, which carried canal boats over the River Dee.
Right.
The Caledonian Canal.
Yes.
So, I mean, he was a Scotsman from Dumfries.
That's right.
And the Caledonian Canal, which carried freight, okay?
Yeah.
And, of course, the Menai Bridge of 1826.
Oh, right.
How about that?
So he built a lot in Wales then?
Wales and Scotland.
I wonder why he built so much in Wales.
Well, there was need for things to be built in Wales, so that's why he built them.
Yeah.
Now, I tell you something.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm going north, maybe to Goodison or something, I come off the M6 toll, okay?
Yeah.
And you only go about another 400 or 500 yards up the road, and then you come off junction 5, I think it is.
It?
I think it's 5.
I
think it's 5.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and it takes you to Telford, right, named after Thomas Telford.
Was it?
Yes, and the A41 that goes north up through
You've talked
Whitchurch.
about that route before, yeah.
I have, but...
And then you go in through Birkenhead, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah. But just a few hundred yards along that road, you go under a bridge... And it's built by Thomas Telford, but it's not Iron Bridge. Iron Bridge was his most famous bridge because it was the first one he built.
That's another place that was named after
Iron Bridge in Shropshire.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
And it says in the county of Shropshire's
It's
bridge.
not a very imaginative name, really, is it?
Well, it was the first one ever built. You see, what you don't understand is, which I got from this book, which was quite amazing, is that Telford... was actually a stonemason.
Was he?
He wasn't trained to build bridges in iron.
Right.
He acquired that skill himself.
Right.
He actually built things in stone to start off with.
Iron bridge making.
Yes, that's right. It was, yeah.
Well, he must have gone to university or something.
No, he had a very humble
Engineering
background.
school.
He was born in Westerkirk in Dumfries.
Uh-huh.
He retained his broad Scottish accent.
Did he?
All of his life.
Good.
His father died shortly after he was born, and his widowed mother was broke. So he started as a shepherd boy, before being apprenticed to a mason, and when he travelled to Edinburgh in 1780, the poor laddie was so poor, he had to walk the 80 miles from Dumfries without any shoes on.
This is Talk Sport. tell you right now that the early going is for Winston Churchill, 71% to 29%.
Is that right? Okay.
34 votes cast.
Okay,
we'll let it run for 24 hours, this poll.
Well, no, I think we'll let it run till the end of the show.
End of the show?
And then we can announce it, yes.
Right. Okay, we'll let it run till the end of the show. But at the moment, Winston Churchill is the clear winner. How about this from G. O'Hara? The greatest living man who single-handedly won the war, Winston Churchill. I think he's making fun of what you said. Lyle said, hello, please. I predict 1 out of 10. And it says, happy Burnsday, laddies.
Yes.
And Weege says, you've got to do the quiz on that bloke from Hello, who Porky doesn't know the name of.
Yes.
And that's 0 out of 10.
Yes. No. That's all sorted. Don't you worry. That's all sorted.
Okay.
No problem at all.
David says, what about a quiz about about Sandra Lee asking questions about Australia?
Well, yes, we
Sandra
could.
Lee will be on the show on Thursday night.
She will, actually, yes. So we're very pleased to have that because we need to talk to her about the phenomenon of man-eating alligators.
Man-eating alligators. And also, of course, the Pacific trade deal that Donald Trump has just nixed, as they say in America, because, in the end, that's going to affect Australia in a way that it won't affect us.
Absolutely. By the way, as we are career journalists in the newspaper industry, and, of course, worked in Fleet Street for many, many years,
certainly did.
We must... have a mention for our old friends at The Guardian.
Oh, yes. The Guardianistas. They're all weeping into their lattes, aren't they?
I think they're weeping into their Berliner press because their Berliner press was built specially at the cost of £80 million when, in fact, they were making a loss year on year.
This is their printing machine, right?
Their printing machines to produce a paper with a unique size. It wasn't tabloid, it wasn't broadsheet.
Yes.
It was something in between because they were The Guardian.
Of course, they could do anything they want.
Unfortunately, the losses are mounting and the Berliner press might have to be put into mothballs.
Oh, dear.
Which means they're going to have their paper printed somewhere else in tabloid form.
So it's going to be...
guess where it might be?
Where's it going to be printed?
Well, it might be printed by the people who own the Times and the Sun.
And Talk Sport, of course.
And Talk Sport. And that's going to leave a few of the Gardenistas in a bit of a pickle, isn't it?
Because, well, it is, yeah.
Well, they actually deign to pick up a newspaper that has come off a News UK press.
Yeah.
Would they deign to do that?
Well, not only will they all have to resign, but also all the people that read it will have to resign and stop buying it because they hate Rupert Murdoch so much.
That's right, yeah.
How amusing is that?
Yeah,
how ironic, some might say.
Absolutely.
What about Ewan McGregor, by the way, talking about planks? And those people who don't like to... deal with those who they don't agree with.
Well, what I thought was most interesting in that argument, he had an argument with Piers Morgan, didn't he, this morning? He wouldn't go on to Good Morning Britain, was it?
Yeah, but as ever, you see, what he did was he put a tweet out saying, I've refused to go on Good Morning Britain, didn't realise Piers Morgan was the host.
That's right.
And then March of Women or something like that. But, of course, Piers then put out the real story, which was that he arrived at the studios with an entourage of people and then demanded to be interviewed without Piers Morgan on the set.
Yes.
So he was quite happy to go on, but didn't want to have anything to do with Piers Morgan.
No, in case Piers asked him sensible questions as one of
his country's
leading interviewers.
He wanted to be interviewed only by Susanna Reid, and she could only ask him questions about the film.
Yes, that's right. Now, what was the Woman March thing that he supposedly objected to?
Well, Piers had put a tweet out which had caused great ructions all over the world from various different people who didn't agree with him when he said he was thinking of planning a men's march because he was fed up with all these women banging the drum for hatred about Donald Trump.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, the whole Twitterati went into meltdown.
Right. Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor was apparently so offended by that tweet that he couldn't bring himself to speak to the man.
Piers. But it was then revealed, wasn't it, that Ewan McGregor, in fact, has worked for Roman Polanski.
He has indeed.
And Roman Polanski
declared him to be his friend.
Yeah, and declared him to be his friend. Roman Polanski is a man who has avoided going back to America
for nearly... technically a convicted paedophile.
Yeah, for nearly 50 years because of a... Is it a conviction?
It's a conviction of a sexual encounter with a 13-year-old girl.
That's right, yeah. So
he has double standards.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And he made a bit of a fool of himself, actually, because the Twitter world, funnily enough, turned on Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And as did Susanna Reid, and said, well, if you don't agree with somebody, you come in and debate them.
That's right.
You don't just say refuse to talk to them.
Not talk to you.
That's what people do in North Korea.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's all getting too heavy, so we're going to lighten the mood of the show.
These things have to be said.
But, yeah, they do indeed. I'm going to point out to you, talking about cases that we read about in the paper. Do you read about this case? Astonishing case of a dentist who is maybe he's going to get struck off because he insisted on keep having sex in his office. I'm
not surprised he's going to get struck off then.
Yeah, well, the noise.
What, with the patients, you mean, or with other people?
Well, yeah, listen to this. This is a fantastic case. It says, a dental lecturer held regular sex sessions in his office in earshot of colleagues.
Right.
A misconduct hearing has been told.
Oh, so it wasn't like he was actually working as a dentist.
Well, he's a dental
brings
lecturer.
a whole new meaning to the dentist's chair.
Yeah,
doesn't
it certainly does, and he's supposed to be like, a beacon of light to his pupils. It says Dr. Alec High, that's his name,
Hi.
who lectures at the University of Leeds.
Oh, yeah.
Funny things happen in Leeds.
Do they?
Would meet up with a woman
What do you
at
mean
lunch.
by that?
Sorry?
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I used to...
There's some funny things happen to you in Leeds.
Yeah,
Isn't that where the PA used to be?
That's right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At the University of Leeds, would meet up with a woman at lunchtimes
Right.
and in the evenings over more than 2 years. One time...
Was there only one woman then?
Well, we don't know.
Oh, right.
We don't know because this woman's not identified.
Okay.
Maybe he's a permanent Rogerizer and he has a number of willing participants.
Who
Who knows?
tap.
It says one time a student
You
supports.
may rinse now.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's that whirring noise? One time, a student support officer complained about hearing Dr. High.
Hi.
Yeah, Dr. High, having sex while she was trying to console a grieving student nearby whose granny had just died.
What was she doing consoling someone whose granny had died
I don't know.
a dental school?
I don't know.
And he killed her?
Well, no. She said his behaviour continued, according to this one witness. In March 2015, a student support officer complained about hearing Dr. having sex while she tried to console a student whose grandmother had suddenly passed away and was maudlin and in tears. So it wasn't right. Anyway, it says...
And student support officer, that sounds like trouble, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says the father of two, an expert in cancers of the head and neck. Well, I don't know what's funny about that, mate. Cancer's nothing to laugh about.
Oh, he's a dentist, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he is. Yeah, but I mean, he's obviously highly qualified and can recognise these terrible diseases.
Yeah.
You know, he was referred to the General Dental Council.
What, really?
And now faces a ban from the profession after his actions, and this is in-office Rogerising, remember?
Yeah.
Were ruled to amount to misconduct within the dental profession.
Misconduct?
A professional conduct committee in London was told that the woman... participant who was not named.
So it sounds like there's only one woman here.
Well, we don't know.
So maybe it was,
maybe
it was his wife.
Who was not. Well, we don't know. Who was not named. Was often seen arriving at and leaving his office, and her visits always coincided.
Going for a quick filling, obviously.
That's rather crude. And her visits always coincided with the quotes. Noises of intense sexual activity.
Intense?
Yeah, well, no, I
me.
put that in. It's noises of sexual activity.
Oh, okay. You added what? You've actually added an adjective into the story.
I used
now
it.
Now people know how you used to operate.
No.
Why is it not intense sexual activity?
No. I've clarified that.
Yeah.
Dr. High was confronted by a manager about his behaviour in the summer of 2014, and he said, "Point taken." Not quite sure what he meant by that.
Yeah. So presumably the guy said, "Look, you've got to stop this, sexual activity in the office."
Absolutely.
But I'm getting the sense that it was an office rather than an actual dentist's surgery.
Well, we don't really know. It says his behaviour continued, and in March 2015, a student support officer complained about hearing him. Following the complaint, he was interviewed. And anyway, he was charged before the committee of engaging in sexual activity on one or more occasions.
Right.
And that's a charge he's answering now.
Right. Well, I mean, presumably the situation is that it's not his practice, because he's not practising as an actual dentist, is he? Because you couldn't be Rogerising people in a dentist chair while you've got patients coming in and out to be actually seen, could you?
You'd think not, wouldn't you?
I mean, the dentist...
Mind you...
Whenever I've been to the dentist, it's always very busy.
I have to say...
They never have a break, do they?
I have to say that I was at the dentist last week to have 3 new teeth put in.
Yeah, you were there for 3.5 hours, weren't you?
3.5 hours.
Did you notice anything untoward?
No. My dentist is a very straightforward...
See Dr. High?
No. Very straightforward and upright sort of a chap. But in fact, I was about to say, the dental chair of the sort that Gascoigne once got in, had like all sorts of fluids poured down his throat, is not the dental chair of today. The dental chair of today is like a flatbed seat in a jumbo jet.
Well, it goes flat, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is...
Well, dental chairs always did go reasonably flat.
Not as flat as they do today.
Well, they go completely flat.
Yeah, and what I was about to say is, if...
But that's not always the best position, though, is it? If you're trying to Rogerise somebody in an office, what are you looking at like that for?
Oh, that's a shocking,
Well, you don't always want to lie
shocking
flat, do you?
injection into the show, that
you don't
is.
always want to lie flat.
Discussing sexual positions in dentist chairs.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
How low can you go?
Well, quite low on a dentist chair.
I was going to say, how low can the dentist chair go? Yeah.
All I'm saying is that you might not want to put it flat.
Well, I mean, I'm not getting into that, for goodness sake. It's disgraceful.
I don't know where you find these stories. I haven't seen this story anywhere.
Well, that's because you're not in touch with the way things are going in the world, mate, I'm telling you.
OK, Rob says this. Thanks for filling me in on the whole Ewan McGregor thing, fellas. I slept through the whole thing. What a plank.
Yeah, complete plank.
Right, we've got loads more tweets to read out. It is Ask Porky. We've got lots of Ask Porky.
Got a menu for a Porky dinner.
We've actually got to do that. Yeah, we've got to do that soon. But we've got Mark Donaldson to talk to as well, because very shortly we'll be heading over to the Australian Open to catch up with what's going on between Johanna Konta and Serena Williams. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. Are you looking for another girl? I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. Are you looking for another
There's lots of very funny tweets coming in about the dentist situation. Many of them, of course, I can't read out. They're too rude. So I won't be doing that. So if you want to send something in that I can read out, that would be preferable, please.
That's right, absolutely.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll talk some more about that, of course, and the whole dentist chair scenario over the course of the show. However, now we must talk to Mark Donaldson from ESPN because we've got a lot of NFL to talk to him about, but also the tennis is going to get very exciting tonight, and he's going to be watching it over in Melbourne as well.
Indeed.
Mark, a very good morning to you.
Morning, gents. How are you both?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Quite
Thank you,
excited
Mark.
about
Good
this.
to hear from you.
Yeah, all right. Just trying to talk to him. I'm very excited about this Johanna Konta Serena Williams match. I'll tell you why, because I was listening to Greg Rosetsky the other morning on the Sports Breakfast, who said that he thinks Konta is actually getting Serena at a good time, thinks that she's more mobile around the court than Serena, and she's got a pretty good chance of winning.
Do you know what? I'd love to bring you this analysis with neutrality, but I've got £10 on Konta each way at 33-1. So it kind of clouds my judgment over what I think and not wanting to tempt fate. Yes. I don't know if you guys believe in the whole talking positive about something. If you've got money on Everton, or Mike, if you've got money on anything
I talk it up. I talk it up, mate, because I believe in I believe in fate and karma.
Yeah, he very rarely wins any bets though. That's the other thing.
I don't get karma.
Did you get 33-1 on her to win the whole thing, or what?
Yeah, I did. I did it before she won Sydney because she was playing unbelievable tennis. Yeah. And then when she smashed Kerber, she was into like 20-1, and now she's less than 5-1. And she's playing really good stuff. It's funny, a friend of mine who I worked the Australian Open with, Nick Lester, who is a familiar voice for anybody that watches tennis from all over the world. He does the World Feed commentary. He used to hit with Jo Konta. He used to be her practice partner, and he said just the difference in mentality as well. She's always had the game, but she never believed in herself. She does now. And the fact that after she won her last match, she said, "I'm so looking forward to facing Serena. She was a hero of mine." Now she'll go to war to try and beat Serena. Previously, it was I'm playing Serena, great, and she'd go out and lose 1 and 2 and whatever. Sure. This is a different Jo Konta.
It is. I mean, she's 25, so I mean, she's youngish, but not, she's not a baby, if you like. I mean, and of course there will be those who say, well, she's not really actually British at all, but she is, to all intents and purposes, and therefore we claim her as one of ours, right?
She has a Union Jack beside her name. She's chosen to be British.
Absolutely.
She's obviously got the potential Hungarian, Australian, born in Sydney, Hungarian parents, all sorts, but she lives in Eastbourne. She speaks like a Brit. I mean, look, come on, it's 2017 now. It doesn't matter how people sound or whatever. If they choose to be British, we welcome them. And isn't it great? I mean, let's not think about what's going to happen 10 years from now when Murray's retired, when Konta's retired, when Heather Watson, Laura Robson, Dan Evans, Kyle Edmund and all them. Let's just enjoy the present right now. We have got a female tennis player in the quarter-final of the Australian Open. Virginia Wade was the last player from Great Britain, the last female to win the Australian Open in 1972. There have only been 3 previous winners of the Australian Open who are female. Let's talk her up. And she's talking herself up, which I just love the fact that she's not going into her shell. She believes she can win. And by the way, if she was in the other half of the draw, I think she would get to the final, and I think she's going to face Serena anyway, so you may as well beat her now if you're going to beat her, as opposed to whoever and whenever you get her.
Well, Serena's vulnerable, isn't she? A string of recent results have shown that, I mean, when I say vulnerable, her consistency is now cracking, isn't it?
I totally agree with that. Serena Williams is 35 years old, and so far she's been exceptional against Bencic, Safarova, Gibbs and Strycova as well. She's not dropped a set. this is something different. This is Jo Konta. This is the first seed she would have faced as well.
Yeah.
She's 35. I mean, she's level with Steffi Graf at 22 Grand Slams, and I make her favourite to beat Jo Konta. But favourites don't always win. And you're right, Porky. She's someone who has achieved so much in tennis, and you could argue she's the greatest of all time because there's not many better than her. And she's been wonderful for the game. But things move on now. Jo Konta, as Mike said, is 25 years old.
Yeah.
I think her best years are ahead of her. I don't want to tempt fate, given the fact I've got a bet on. But I think if Jo plays to the best of her abilities, she could beat Serena.
Yeah.
Also, she's got the momentum. I mean, apparently Serena hasn't played more than 2 games between the end of the US Open in August and her first game in Melbourne.
That's right.
Which tells you that she's, whatever you might think about how brilliant she is. She hasn't had the number of games that Konta has had, because Konta's got herself from 49 in the world to 9.
Exactly.
in that sort of 2-year period in the last. I mean, I've just got a feeling about it somehow.
Yeah, and I don't want to tempt fate, but when she lost to Karolina Pliskova at the US Open, Serena Williams didn't play again. That was in the start of September. She didn't play again until the start of January. She played twice in Auckland. She beat Pauline Parmentier, and then she lost, when she was the top seed in Auckland, to Madison Brengle. And she didn't play that well. She lost in 3 sets. She only played 2 matches in the build-up to the Australian Open, of which she's won 4, granted, without dropping a set. But she hasn't been tested, and you're spot on. This is something that's different for Serena Williams. A lot of these players she's faced here, Strycova, Gibbs, Shafarova, Bencic, they're kind of lambs to the slaughter. They don't really believe that they can win. Bencic was the hardest opponent so far. And Safarova's decent, I get that. But Bencic in the first round, it's a match that I called last week. Bencic is a player who was number 7 in the world, but she's been injured. But she kind of came into it. She thought she had a chance, and she got swept away. This is different for Williams, and it wouldn't be surprising when Alan and whoever's doing breakfast tomorrow, if they're talking about Jo Konta through to the semi-finals of the Australian Open. She has got a right chance because she has this mentality that she believes that she could win. I just wish, as a nation, that we had that mentality as opposed to the kind of just lying down and tickle our tummies from time to time.
Do you know what, as well, Mark? I think she will also be stung by Andy Murray's exit. I think she may now feel that it's her responsibility to carry the flag that appears so proudly next to her name. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that's the case.
Yeah.
Look at Misha Zverev against Andy Murray. I don't want to... I think there's some wonderful French players out there, like Gasquet, Monfils, Tsonga. Yeah. Give them a German mentality, they'd all have Grand Slam beside their name. I just think if you had the ability of the likes of the French and the German mentality, I don't know what it is about the Germans. I don't know how they breed them or whatever. I would love British people, French people or whatever to have that kind of, come on, beat me then, whether it's Martin Keimer, Bernhard Langer, whoever it is, Steffi Graf. The German mentality is something that is to be applauded. Now, Jo Konta, maybe it's to do with the fact that she's got Hungarian background, born in Australia and whatever. But I love the fact that she's British. She's representing Britain as well. And maybe she does think she's flying the flag, which she is for Great Britain as well. I just love overall the fact that we are talking about a girl from Britain with the opportunity to be in the semi-final of a Grand Slam. It's not often you can say that.
No, indeed. And what about Andy Murray? I mean, most people are putting it down to the other guy just having the game of his life and Andy Murray just having an off day at the office kind of thing. I mean, it's a shame, though, because it would have been a great opportunity for him to win the Australian Open without Djokovic around.
Yeah, but if Murray had gone out and Djokovic had gone through, it would have been a great opportunity for Djokovic to win another Australian Open. It is what it is, and we do have the possibility now of a Roger against Rafa. We've got the possibility of a Stan versus Milos Raonic final as well. Sometimes I think in sport, lads, that we need the opportunity to be a little bit different, because if it was another Murray against Djokovic final, you might have people saying, oh, come on, it's another one of those, whatever's going to happen, it's getting boring now. It keeps it fresh, and a lot of people said, and you and I, Mike and Porky, we've also discussed whether Roger wins another Grand Slam. We all think he probably doesn't. The same with Rafa. Now he might.
Yeah.
That's what keeps tennis going.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Very true.
Totally
now,
agree.
let's talk about Porky's favourite sport, the NFL, because it's right down to the wire. You're going to have to talk about it because the Super Bowl, which is one of the biggest games in the world. Now, I don't know if you saw a tweet that I put out earlier. You'll have seen this, Mark, I'm sure. An incredible stadium which is being built in Atlanta, right, for the Atlanta Falcons, who are in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Now, this is a stadium that if you could have something like that for Everton, you would be incredibly jealous. Tell me about it, Mark.
It's a fantastic stadium, and
it's big. It's very big. I've seen a picture of it.
Yeah.
It is. The last game that they played, I think it was kind of fitting. The last game that they played indoors at their old stadium, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
They won it, and that's got them through to the Super Bowl. But now, what was it, $1.5 billion, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
Yeah.
I just think there's an element in Atlanta, and you know what it's like. The Dallas Cowboys here, Mike, you lived here long enough. Mr. Parry, you've been here enough as well. Dallas Cowboys were always seen as kind of America's team. Now, as much as they're liked by so many, they're also hated by many others as well. And when they built their brand new stadium in Texas, 90,000, I think there's an element of kind of looking across it from Atlanta and saying, you know what, we're going to do an even better job than this as well. So $1.5 billion, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, retractable roof that opens and closes as well.
Air conditioned.
But it opens like the Death Star, doesn't it? It doesn't slide. It opens like a sort of, a kaleidoscope.
And do you know what? I remember not the new stadium in Dallas, the old stadium in Dallas. My parents took myself and my sister there in 1995, and we went on a tour. So we obviously asked the question, as I'm sure everybody on the tour did, why has it got a hole in the roof? And the guy at the time said it's so God can watch his team. Okay, fine, blah,
I'm
blah,
trying to
blah,
show
American
Porky the video of it.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it.
You've seen that?
I've seen it. Yeah, I saw it today. Yeah, it's very impressive.
It's got video screens all the way around.
Can you imagine the first game in their new stadium next September, and they're able to parade the Super Bowl trophy? It's going to be tough against New England Patriots, but it's certainly a possibility.
But can I tell you something of greater interest even than that, and that is the fact that Manchester United have announced plans, Mark, to increase Old Trafford to 88,000. I mean, that is sensational.
Where's the additional 13,000? Because I've been, like we all have, we've been to Old Trafford. Can you get much more on that main stand side? Because everywhere else has been built up. Is it the main stand side that's the issue?
Well, they are going to build in the corners, but what I've been told is, I was speaking to somebody earlier, is Liverpool have actually discovered a new way of building a football stadium. That is, you build a new stand on top of the existing stand. You see what I mean? Now, as you know as well as I do, 3 sides of Manchester United are the same height. But the 4th side, where the dugouts are, is only half the height of the other 3 sides. And I think what they're doing is they're going to build, you know what I mean? They build a cantilever up and above it to put the seats there. You see what I mean? To make it all the same level.
And quickly, by the way, Hearts, my team, are building a main stand right now while the main stand is still there. They're doing exactly the same. They're bringing in the truss behind. They're building it all up. And then come the end of the season, come April, they will conclude the building. And I think, there's an element of that, of what Spurs are doing right now as well. But they're building up and over the existing stand, which doesn't affect the supporters in the stand until the end of the season. That's the new way of building it.
It is. It's a new way of building it. Prior to this technology being discovered at Liverpool, who pioneered it, you were going to have to, buy streets full of little houses, knock them down, build over a railway track and all that. That won't be necessary now, apparently.
And it's amazing the way things are going.
You've
got the new Atlanta Stadium. You've got Man United trying to go to 88,000. You've got Spurs with a new stadium as well. You've got Chelsea looking at building a new stadium.
That's right.
I just wonder what it's going to be like in 5 years' time. And, of course, BT suggestions that they're going to announce huge losses as well.
Well, they already have.
Another day the question for another day would be, has the Premier League bubble, or is the Premier League bubble finally going to burst?
Well, that's a very interesting point. We haven't got any more time to debate it, I'm afraid, Mark. We've got to go. This is Talk Sport. I can tell you that the voting process is well underway. We're asking people to vote on Twitter. Go to the Two Mikes Twitter account, at the Two Mikes, and you'll find a pinned tweet says this: what should the Porky quiz be on this week? Vote now. Should it be on Gordon Kay or Winston Churchill? 135 votes so far, 65% in favour of Winston Churchill as of now.
So it looks like it's going to be that, doesn't it? Unless there's a massive U-turn during the course of the show.
It could happen. Dazza on that canal you were talking about says he's known as the canal in the sky. You can walk it as well as sailing your narrow boat across it.
That's right.
A couple of people saying you got it wrong about the junction on the M6. C. Newman says it's junction 10A, M54.
Yeah, but somebody else says it's junction 12, and I think it's junction 12.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not junction 5 anyway. It's the A5. No. Maybe that's why
it's
confused.
the A5. It goes to the... Yeah, it's the A5, that's right. It goes to the A41. It's the A5, and I think it's junction 12. I do not think it's junction 10A. Although 10A... yeah, that's right. There is a 10A which goes to the M54 to Wales. That's the motorway to Wales. Yeah. But the one I take is 12. You're right, and it's on that road that there is a Thomas Telford Bridge. It's not Iron Bridge itself, but there's also a little chef right next to it.
A little chef? I thought they got closed down.
No, it's the only one I've ever seen on the road that's still there. Yeah,
because
definitely.
Little chef got bought over, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it's still there. It's still there with a picture of a little chef on the side. Yeah,
bizarre. Did you ever go in there?
Hey?
Did you ever go in there?
I have been in years past, but not quite recently.
Pretty hideous food in Little Chefs. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, no, I quite like it. I think it's very traditional English food.
It's not.
Now, what about this menu that somebody has put up as a typical sort of, feast for... some sort of lunch I might organise.
Well, it was.
Where is this?
It was on Twitter, of course. It's all about things to do with me tonight. Is that what you're doing?
No. It's I've seen it.
Started off with a dog.
No.
You want to talk about your menu?
No.
This is put out by. Well, you can find the tweet, I'm sure. Please join me, Mike Porky Parry, for an evening of fine dining, celebrating the finest food and drinks from around the globe with our 6-course tasting menu.
Right.
Now, you've probably never been to a restaurant that has a tasting menu, have you?
A what? Sorry.
A tasting menu. It's where you go to a restaurant and you pay like a set fee, and they basically bring you a load of different courses, and you don't actually choose them. You just get given what they've chosen for you.
Oh, I see. No, I've never done that.
It's quite an interesting thing to do.
Why can't I find this menu thing? Where is it?
Well, it was issued on Twitter quite a while back.
How far back?
I would say late afternoon, early evening, maybe.
Blimey. So
just
how many
keep going
hours
back. You will have retweeted it at some point.
Okay.
And then we can give credit to the guy who actually sent it.
Okay.
But it's very, very clever, because it starts, of course, with soup of the day.
Yes.
Which is Heinz chicken soup.
Heinz chicken soup.
Fish course is a fish finger tower.
Right.
And then he's taken care to describe each one. A tower of the finest bird's eye fish fingers served with red sauce.
Red sauce.
Now, I'm not sure it would be served with red sauce.
No.
What would you serve it with?
Serve what with?
The fish finger tower.
Fish finger tower. Well, do you know what? That's always been a problem for me. Because...
There you go, I found it. It's from Chris.
Oh, good man.
Chris Pears.
Right, okay, that's excellent. Good.
Proposed dinner menu for an evening with Mike Parry.
Right, okay, well, that's right. I quite like that. That's good. Now, what I was going to say is, I've always had the problem of what to do it with. What I serve it with, I don't like that white stuff, which the green
tartar
parsley
sauce.
in it. Is that tartar?
Tartar sauce.
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No, I don't like the...
Mayonnaise?
I don't like mayonnaise.
No.
I don't like the salmon one, salmon-coloured one. What's that called?
Oh, what, Mary Rose sauce? You mean like prawn cocktail
Yes,
sauce?
that's right. Yeah, I don't like that.
You
So
what would you have when you have prawn cocktail?
I have it on prawn cocktail. I don't like it on fish fingers.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's the point. The only thing I like...
Brown sauce?
No, I don't like brown sauce. The only thing I like is actually lemon juice.
Lemon juice, okay. Well, that's always good with fish.
Yeah, I love lemon juice.
So,
I love lemon
but
juice.
You use that Jif thing, don't you?
No, I don't. No, I've got a green bottle of it.
A green bottle?
Yeah.
Well, that's not lemon juice.
It is lemon juice. No, it's not. It's lemon juice, honestly.
No, it's fake. Lemon juice comes from a lemon.
Yeah, okay. Well, believe it or not, the plastic ones are not picked off trees. They also contain...
Yeah, but they add things to it.
Processed lemon inside it.
Yeah, but they add things to it, though.
I don't care.
Artificial
well, it
sweeteners.
tastes like lemon juice to me.
And also, now that you're on this crusade to save all the creatures of the sea...
That's right.
Should you not be cutting back on the plastic bottles that you buy?
This one...
If you buy lemons, which are real, you will not produce anything which cannot be biodegraded.
That's very true. I always ask for real lemons when I have fish and chips, to be honest.
Right.
But, no, the bottles I get the lemon in are glass bottles, not plastic bottles.
Well, they still have to be recycled.
Well, I make sure they are recycled. They go into the glass recycling bin.
What do you do with your plastic bottles?
The plastic bottles go into the plastic recycling bin as well. I'm very careful about that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, very careful.
So this would be altered slightly, the fish course. A tower of finest bird's eye fish fingers served with some Jif lemon juice.
Yes, that's right.
Now, the pre-main course...
And maybe a bit of mashed potato.
Okay. Well, steady on, because there's a pre-main and a main as well.
Right.
So the pre-main course is southern fried chicken sharing platter.
Yes.
A family-sized bucket of the world-famous KFC with hand wipes.
Well, that's okay for me. Yeah. That's all right. I quite like that.
I'm not expecting you to not want any of the food on this. No. I'm expecting you to think this would be great.
Yep.
Although the main course you may slightly disagree with, roasted sirloin of dragon. Tender, slow-roasted sirloin of dragon served with McCain oven chips and tinned peas.
Yeah, well, obviously that's a bit of a joke because I made a reference once to the fact that the first time I ever saw a Chinese restaurant when I was a kid, they had a dragon painted down the side of it. And I thought this is a dragon. But, I mean, that's obviously something I grew out of. No, if it was a main course, I'd go for a bit of duck, I think. Because I like the duck with the old pancakes, you know what I mean?
You want duck and pancakes?
Yes.
Well, all right, well, we could do that.
Yes.
But would you have McCain oven chips with it?
No.
And tinned peas?
No.
What would you have with it?
Well, I'd just have the stuff that you put in pancakes.
Just pancakes, like a pancake course?
Yeah, like, what's it?
You like the hoisin sauce?
Hoisin sauce. What's the stuff that you slice up as well?
Well, they slice up sort of spring onions, basically.
Spring onions and something else.
And cucumber.
Cucumber, that's it. Like that. Cucumber, yeah.
Okay, then there's a post-main dish, which is mash and gravy.
Yes.
A delightfully buttery smash creamed potato served with powdered gravy.
Suit me.
Yeah,
Suit
I'm
me.
sure you would.
Yeah, I like that.
I think this would be too much food for you, to be honest.
Well,
And then dessert. A couple of people pointed out he missed a trick because he did not put down pear flan.
Okay, pear flan.
Which is what would normally be there. Instead, he's put jelly. A choice of Hartley's strawberry or Hartley's blackcurrant jelly.
Blackcurrant jelly, please. Lovely, yes.
And then the one thing he has
I'd have that, by the way, with carnation milk.
Carnation milk,
yeah,
okay.
I love it. Yeah,
why not try? And he says, why not try our delightful selection of Oasis fruit squash, expertly paired to accompany each course?
Yeah, why not?
Supplement $14.95 per person.
Well, I quite like Tesco lemonade, actually.
Okay, our selections. Well, surely you'd be drinking wine at the dinner, wouldn't you?
Well, probably a bit drop of wine.
Our selection: citrus punch, summer fruits, blackcurrant and apple, and pineapple rush.
Yes.
And then it's the price: £110 per person, strategically priced to deter the great unwashed.
Well, I like all of that. I like all those ideas. And in fact, you and I have been thinking, haven't we, about St George's Day this year. Maybe we might have a lunch or something like that.
Really?
Yes,
when is that?
Rather exclusive. April 23.
What do you mean exclusive?
Well, we'd only invite.
What, do you want me to take you somewhere nice?
No, we'd invite maybe.
You haven't told me anything about this.
Yes, it's something.
You have not said anything about it.
We discussed in Bladderation a few weeks ago.
No, we didn't. No, we discussed you going to some St George's do.
Yes,
which I thought was a bad idea.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about it because they turn out to be rather sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
A bit over nationalistic.
Well, maybe a bit over nationalistic, although you shouldn't be ashamed to celebrate your country's national day, obviously. But the ones...
But it's not my national day, is it?
The ones... Well, it's mine.
Yeah,
and the
but
ones
it's not mine, so why would I celebrate it?
Well, don't celebrate it then. The ones I've been to in the past have been a little bit too male, if you see what I mean.
Well, not any birds there.
Well, I go into all male dues. I find them rather, sort of, I don't know, a bit antiquated, really, a bit old-fashioned. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about where we're going to go then for St George's Day? Because I'm quite happy to go somewhere with you and a couple of close associates.
Yes.
That's what you're suggesting.
Well, it would have to be mixed company because, as I say, the trouble
Mixed
is when you
company?
get a load of blokes together on.
Well, who are you going to bring?
On St George's Day, they do tend to get a bit sort of rugby clubbish, if you know what I mean. And by the way, that's not putting down rugby clubs. Not putting down rugby clubs at all.
You're trying to be all sensitive now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what I do.
Well, who do you want to bring then?
What?
To this lunch? Or is it dinner? I mean, what is it?
I haven't said it's anything.
It's the first time you've mentioned it to me.
No, it's a plan we discussed, honestly.
We did not.
I think you were in Bladderation.
Really? You're the guy that couldn't remember what time Liverpool played on Saturday. I don't think we need to doubt anybody's memory scenario.
No, don't be ridiculous. Now, listen, a bit later in the show, I want to discuss
I haven't finished the menu yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't know more of it.
A taste sensation, Guardian reviewed by the man who cannot be named.
Oh, right, okay.
Who's taken another battering, by the way, over the weekend.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, well, that's because the story about him appeared online, didn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And millions of people accessed it, apparently, and then only became familiar with the disgraceful situation that had arisen and have now become fans of the two mics as a result.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, we're just running out of time. I've got some great news for you coming up about my car, by the way.
Well, this is good news.
Which I'm going to be
and talking about cars, I've
Yeah.
got a disgraceful national scandal to reveal.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll get to that because you had a contact. It's just making her way out onto the court.
Wow,
in Australia
hey.
as well. We'll be checking in.
Go,
with Lisa
go,
Rose Sullivan.
Conter!
All right,
Go,
careful.
Conter!
I don't want to give her the Porky jigs.
Go, Conter!
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted.
This This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. One from Becky here says, live tennis commentary from Porky, please. Looking forward to his description of what the ladies are wearing.
Well.
Hashtag legendary. So we may do a bit of that.
Do a bit of that,
But first, let's go to Lisa O'Sullivan, who's watching it for Talk Sport. The two combatants have just turned out onto the court, and let's see what sort of look they're giving each other.
Yes.
Lisa, what do you make of it all?
Yeah, I was going to say it's all about the head game at this point, and Serena Williams is sticking on the sunscreen all over her face to try and ward off any of the heat.
She's wearing an awful lot of clothes for the heat, isn't she?
She is, but it's not as hot as it has been. Don't forget, this is the beginning of the evening session down under, so temperatures not up near the 40s as they were at one point in the week. 38 degrees when Joe Conter was playing in the early part of the competition, but it'll be much closer to 24 degrees Celsius in Melbourne, and she has been wearing black as well, Serena Williams, which kind of soaks up the heat. A great outfit, actually, but I'll leave that for Porky to describe. And they also have been going through, all the way through the draw here, they've had children in to do the toss, the coin toss at the beginning of the match. They've gone through that now as well, and we will hear shortly who's won the toss and who will be serving first and who's chosen which end. It's quite a windy arena, the Rod Laver arena, so the choice of end can actually help you if you you want to get your serve in and get off to a fast start. Yeah. Serena Williams has been guilty of making a slow start in a lot of her Grand Slam quarterfinals and then has come strong as the match has gone on. She can't afford to do that against Joanna Konta because Jo will get her head down. I mean, she was absolutely merciless in her last match, was through the first set in less than 20 minutes and ready to seal the match in the second. She hasn't dropped a set so far, neither has Serena Williams. Hopefully this is going to be an absolutely cracking match, but looking at the body language from Jo Konta coming on court, head held high, she's not overawed by this situation, by this quarter-final at the Australian Open against one of the greatest tennis players ever. Jo Konta's going to go out there and stick her name in the records book if she can.
I was going to say to you, Lisa, her body language is so impressive. I mean, she's gone out there looking like the favourite in terms of how much she's welcoming the game that's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I think Mark was talking about the fact that she actually, if you're going into form, then Jo Konta is the player who's the favourite here. She's leading all the ranking lists. She had the win in Sydney, and she loves playing in Australia. She was born in Sydney, came over to England with her Hungarian parents at an early age, but absolutely loves going back to Australia because I think she loves the way that the crowd respond to her, and the crowd are very, very receptive to the Brits as they go over there. So she's taking all that and absorbing it and using it for her game, whereas in the past I think it was a little bit of an overwhelmed her a little bit. But she did a lot of work with a Spanish psychiatrist, Juan Cotto, who helped her on the mental side of the game, got her into this position where she's number 9 in the world. He died at the end of last year, but she's been still able to take the lessons that he's taught her and apply them to her game, which is why she's made such a steady rise through the rankings and has managed to stay there and plays tennis by right now. She goes on the court thinking, well, I have a right to be here. And Serena Williams does suffer from nerves, so it'll be interesting to see whether Serena Williams makes a nervous start to this
match. Not only that, at 35 she's always vulnerable to a temporary loss of form.
I don't want you to get too carried away here. You're going to talk her into a jinx here.
No, I'm not. And Serena Williams has not really had a lot of mileage in terms of tennis over the last few months, has she?
That's true. That is true. But then that could actually work to her advantage that she's rested up. She got engaged over the Christmas period as well, so she's in a very happy place in her personal life, Serena. She doesn't really want to talk much about that. She says it's all about the work. She's focusing on her job. And Serena Williams is an absolute supreme athlete. You can't write her off. 22 Grand Slams. She's still waiting to try and get that 23rd Grand Slam so that she is out in front ahead of Steffi Graf, who is also on 22 Grand Slams. And this is her 47th semi-final at a Grand Slam tournament. She really is something remarkable, something special, a fantastic role model for women and young girls as well, to actually see someone, a woman particularly, earning their living at sport by being so much better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And quite often you'll hear people, the biggest criticism they'll have for the Williams sisters, because don't forget Venus as well is through to the semi-final in the other side of the draw. The biggest criticism we have is that they are still playing so well at this level. And it's just unfair, because it's not their fault that everybody else isn't as good as them.
Well, it's not
everybody
really, no.
else needs to step up and actually take their tennis as seriously as these two have, who've led the way for women in any kind of sport by taking it seriously and being the best.
And maybe this will be the beginning of it. Lisa, thank you very much indeed. And they've never played before, these two, apparently, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Now, I've got a couple of tweets for you.
Yes.
Because I'm going to ask you to describe what Serena Williams is wearing shortly. Because I'm assuming she's going to take off those kind of what look like rather long cycling pants.
Yeah.
Which I imagine she's not going to wear while she plays the game.
I would doubt that very much indeed. She's got almost like a waterproof jacket on, which is a bit odd, because as you quite rightly say, we are in Melbourne, aren't we, where...
well, as Lisa said, it's the first game of the evening session, but I'm sure it's still going to be pretty hot, isn't it?
I would have thought so.
Now, a couple of people are taking issue with your description of stadia around the world.
Yeah.
Parry says Manchester City did the stand that way first, not Liverpool.
No, they didn't. No, Manchester City's ground was handed to them from being constructed.
Games,
being constructed for the Commonwealth Games.
But did they not alter it? They altered it, I think, didn't they?
I think they altered a bit of it, but if you see the Liverpool model, it's amazing. I've told you, when I go to Everton and go up the road from Everton Valley towards Goodison Park, this huge thing looms up on the right on the side of Stanley Park. They've literally built a cantilever cover over the old stand, It's amazing.
Mr. Edmiston says Rangers built the club deck on top of their main stand in 1993. He seems a bit upset with you. He says arrogance from Mike Parry to say Liverpool are the pioneers of this.
Well, they're definitely the pioneers of the one they've done, because it avoided or they managed to avert the possibility of knocking down more streets and all that kind of stuff, which is exactly the reason why Manchester United now can go ahead with the same form of new technology construction.
Yeah, absolutely right.
That's how I can tell you for sure.
Now, Nat says, that meal Porky was invited to, oh my God, my sort of food, can I come as well?
Well, the point is, if I opened a restaurant and I served good English food like that, it would be an absolute winner.
Nat says this, he doesn't know whether you're still on Twitter. Well, he is on Twitter, he's at MikeParry8.
Yeah,
he asked the question, he sent it to me and the two Mikes, he says, is Porky still on Twitter?
Amazing.
Maybe it's because you tweet so little.
No, I don't. I tweet quite a lot, but I never tweet if I've got nothing to tweet about, because I don't believe that I should bore people to death with inane tweets just to announce to people, I'm still here, don't forget me.
Well, that's kind of what you do every day, though, isn't it?
Now, listen, talking about being still here, Ricky Tomlinson, right? We all know him.
We do.
Know, right?
Yeah, he was very vitriolic against Cilla Black, by the way.
He was slightly, wasn't he? Yeah, that was... well, I mean...
look, she's getting ready to get combat ready, so do you want to describe what she's doing?
Yes. What she's doing is...
Serena Williams.
Serena Williams.
Yeah, she's taking off the waterproof jacket.
Well, she's actually taking a note out of her pocket, which she's just put into a towel.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that could be... You see, those
secret note.
Yeah. Do you know what could be on there?
What?
Motivational, phrases, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Look into the light, that sort of thing.
No, not look into the light, not inane nonsense like that, but more things like... focus on the ball.
Yeah, so that's not inane at all, is it?
No, don't be silly. Or things like...
I'm a winner.
You are the greatest, or something like that. You know what I mean? I am the greatest, or something like that. But at the moment, she has a very... I would say a very exotic outfit on.
Yeah.
It's a kind of mini dress, right? Yeah. Which is black on the top.
Yeah.
And then falls out...
stripy.
Excuse me. I'm supposed to be...
I'm trying to help you out.
No, I don't need helping out. Just shut your gob.
All right, calm
down.
Right.
So it's black at the top. It falls over her lithe sort of frame, if you see what I mean. And then down into a sort of mini dress, which is white and black stripy.
What has she got in her arms?
And what she's got in her arms is she's got imagine you were watching a Hollywood film where the leading lady had pulled on those gloves, which start at your fingertips, but go all the way up to...
Oh, like Melania was wearing.
Yeah, that's right. Go all the way up to your... what are these muscles called? Your calves?
Biceps.
Biceps, that's right. All the way up to your biceps. Not your calves, it'd be on your legs, wouldn't they? All the way up to your biceps.
Although she's wearing the same thing on her legs. Yeah, she's wearing the first point. Do the first point.
Right, OK. The first point has just started. And 3 times the ball's gone over the net. 4, 5... It was old Serena who started it. 6,
old Serena.
7. Oh, hey! I'll tell you what.
First blood to Joe.
Joe Han Conte has just broken Serena Williams in the first rally of the match.
Well, she hasn't broken, it's just won a point.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But that's the same, isn't it? That's the same.
Well, when she breaks a serve, that'll be when she's broken.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is Serena Williams served for the first time in a match and lost that point, OK?
Thank you.
So, just to get back to her dress. So,
go on. She's kept the stuff on her legs, the leggings, hasn't she?
She's kept the leggings on. And as I say, these gloves go right up to the middle of her biceps, except they are not gloves at hand and finger level. There's nothing there, if you see what I mean. They
stop sort of around the forearm.
No, it goes from wrist to... Oh, there are. Serena Williams now has just belted the ball back over the net to regain...
Doesn't look happy.
Regain the equilibrium in the match. And so it's 15-15, or 15-all as it's known in the broadcasting world. That's right, absolutely.
How would you describe Johanna's outfit?
Well, Johanna's outfit, she's got very long leggings on, Serena Williams, down to below her knee.
Yeah.
So I would call them pedal pushers. That's what
you could do.
That's what they're known as. Now, as for Johanna Conte, she is wearing a much more...
by the way.
Hey?
It's Conte.
Oh, yeah, Conte, that's right. Not Johnny Conte.
Johnny Conte was a boxer.
Yeah, Contour. I'll just write that down, Contour.
Yeah.
Now, she's wearing a much more traditional tennis outfit, and that is a top and a blue pastel-coloured skirt.
Yeah.
And red, for some unknown reason, red trainers, like shoes. Much more traditional. But Serena Williams, who always has exotic clothing, because she runs her own exotic clothing company... I think looks the more fetching of the two.
Do you?
Because what Johanna Conte has got on is a dark blue top, almost like a vest type thing, and a pastel blue skirt. Very traditional.
I thought it was red.
No, it's not. Her shoes are red. Her shoes are red.
Her shoes are
you
red.
oaf.
All right, thank
Just
you.
listen, will you?
All right, see the time.
And don't worry about the time. This is very important.
Yeah.
And
that's an ace.
I have to say that's an ace from Serena.
Yeah.
So...
First blood to her, then.
Yeah, she's blasted her. Blasted her, she did.
So she hasn't broken her, then. It's
No,
1-0 to Serena Williams.
No. She won the first point, old Johanna Conte, against serve, so that was pretty impressive.
I think that was the last one she won.
This is looking very impressive indeed so far. It's going to be an action-packed game, in my view.
Yeah, Conte's 1-love down to Williams. This is TalkSport.
I can't explain glacial motion. Why Los Angeles don't drop into the ocean. I can't unfold the layers of mystery or piece together the tragedy of history. 'Cause those lucky suckers don't have to work. Big 3D billboards and big 30-foot spurts.
Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Johanna Conte has drawn at level. It's 1-1 at the moment. We'll keep you updated with all the scores. Porky will keep you updated with some of the more unusual fashion spotting that he's doing. Right now, though, it's time to go to the other great bastion of celebrity, and it is, of course, Hollywood, where our favourite Hollywood correspondent is going to regale us with tales of Jackie O. Sandra Bonetti is here. Sandra, very good morning to you.
You know, I can't understand how Natalie Portman was Oscar-nominated for that performance as Jackie O. That terrible movie. It was like watching a Valium addict stumble through a party in designer clothes. What a mess.
Really?
What a strange experience.
How disappointing. I mean, I like Natalie Portman. I thought it was going to be really good.
Yeah, I know. So what a huge letdown.
What was wrong with it then? Why did you dislike it so much?
It was a story of a fascinating woman told in a very boring way.
Yeah.
Dull. That was the main problem. Movies are supposed to move you.
Yes.
This just moved me out of my seat, shifting uncomfortably, thinking, when is it going to get good?
I see. Well, here, Sandra, I've got the opening line here. Do you want to know the sound of the bullet made when it collided with my husband's skull? She asked provocatively. Is that right?
Who did she ask that to?
Right.
A guy goes to interview her in the White House. Right. Amazing. It's only just been revealed. Just a week after the assassination, this guy turns up at the White House, and then she starts turning into sort of a vamp or something, doesn't she, Sandro?
it's all downhill from that promising opening scene. There's been a lot of talk lately about sort of fake news and what you can trust in the media. And the idea of this movie is it's about the interview Jackie gave after the death of JFK. Now, she was cementing her own legacy as well as his. She could have commented on all the rumours that he was cheating on her, done all the Marilyn Monroe stuff. But no, in this interview, she said what a great man he was, what a fantastic husband. And by protecting his own legacy, she was protecting hers as well. And she was basically positioning JFK as the great figure he has become. But if it had gone the other way, she could have ruined him in that one interview, which you'd think would be grounds for a fascinating movie. Sadly, it wasn't. But, you know, the Oscar voters obviously disagreed with me, all 6,687 of them. They've cast their votes for her as one of the Best Actress nominees.
Now, during the course of this film, Sandro, was the Legend of Camelot line explained to everybody? Because it's never been explained before.
Yes, it was. JFK was a huge fan of the Broadway musical Camelot,
right?
And he loved playing the song Camelot in the White House. So, that did come through in the movie. So you do learn something from it.
Well, you see, that's amazing because, the way it's gone down in history is that it was, Camelot, it was like he was King Arthur.
He was obsessed with the Knights of the Round Table.
That's right.
In fact, he was obsessed with the musical.
Yeah.
Probably because he'd been...
he was obsessed with the
probably
musical.
because he'd been familiar with some members of the chorus.
It's like...
I think so, yeah.
It's like Barack Obama loves Hamilton, so, he's probably been singing hip-hop in the White House while he was there.
He probably has. Now, were there any revelations in this film that, in addition to JFK being, the most libidinous president of all time until Bill Clinton got in there... Yes, yeah.
You mean libidinous?
Libidinous, that's exactly what I said. Yeah. Until Bill Clinton got there, was, in fact, Jackie O herself sort of on the Rogerization trail with other men? Including the
Rogerization.
Yes, on the Rogerization trail.
Mass Rogerization.
Mass Rogerization, including the British comedian Peter Cook.
Sadly, no. Now, that is a movie I would like to see, and maybe somebody will do it in future. Maybe you should even write it. But
Derek and Clive, Jane Mansfield and Jackie O. It could be great, though, couldn't it?
Oh, I know. Who would you cast? Goodness me.
I mean, apparently there was a bit of horizontal refreshment going on between Jackie O and Marlon Brando.
Yeah, also not in the movie.
Oh, that's very disappointing.
Has this got sort of a PG version of it then, or something?
I would say U certificate, quite frankly. I mean, there is a great movie to be made about Jackie O. Unfortunately, this isn't it.
No, okay. Now, Porky has asked me in the past whether, when we saw Melania Trump at the inauguration, whether she was trying to channel Jackie O, and some people have said that she was, with those long gloves and that kind of pale blue outfit, trying to look as much like Jackie O as she could. Has anyone sort of been talking about Melania Trump much in Hollywood? We know how much everyone hates Donald Trump in Hollywood, but what about her?
Yes. Now, this isn't the first time that she's borrowed something from a First Lady. You might remember that Melania Trump stole Michelle Obama's speech at the Republican National Convention.
Right.
And she's also gone and stolen Jackie Kennedy's look from the 1961 inauguration of her husband. On that occasion, Jackie wore a high-necked cocoon jacket, I'm informed, with 3/4 sleeves and matching dress and matching gloves. And even though it was a different colour, Melania did the same thing this time, wearing a powder blue, a Ralph Lauren ensemble, and she can't catch a break. Everyone, she never gets any credit. She looked great, but a lot of people said that she'd stolen the look.
Well, the only thing that I've seen over the course of the last few days have been little clips of video showing how Melania basically doesn't really like being with Donald. Bits of him getting out of the car to take the present up to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and she's left to get out of the car on the other side. The one where she changes her face completely as soon as he turns around, and she goes from smiling to grim. She can't. As you say, she can't catch a break. But is she that? She's not that surprised, really, is she? She's put out one tweet on the FLOTUS account that she's taken over on Twitter from Michelle Obama, which says, "I'm deeply honoured to serve this wonderful country as First Lady." That's it. What's she going to do?
Well, it's funny you say about the gift box that she presented rather awkwardly to Michelle. The joke going round is there was a card inside saying, "Help me, I'm a prisoner." Also, when I was at the Women's March at the weekend, I saw so many signs saying "Free Melania." So there is a feeling.
Well, they're giving them away.
A prisoner of Donald Trump, rather than that.
Free Melania sounds like one of those stalls, isn't it?
Indeed.
Stop me and buy one, get one free.
Indeed. Did
you enjoy the Women's March, by the way? Did you see Ewan McGregor there?
No, I didn't see Ewan McGregor, funnily enough, among the crowds. I understand he wasn't able to make it.
Was Roman Polanski there, by any chance?
Certainly there.
Roman Polanski, any sign of him?
No sign of Roman Polanski either, but there was a lot of discussion of Melania Trump there, because you might be surprised to know, here in Los Angeles, there are just a few gold diggers, and they kind of admire Melania as their champion. After all, she came from Slovenia with nothing but a suitcase and a dream, and she ended up married to the leader of the free world.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, that.
Well, there is a rather unkind tweet that was sent out, saying that, when she looks quite worried during the day of the inauguration, saying, the look on your face when all you wanted was a sugar daddy, you ended up becoming the First Lady of the United States of America.
The President of the United States suddenly married you.
Very unkind.
Just getting back to Jackie O for a minute, Sandra, because I've been doing a bit more research. I've been doing a bit more research.
He's already panned the film.
No. Whilst you've been talking to MG here, apparently other conquests included Frank Sinatra, Warren Beatty. Hang on. Frank Sinatra, Warren Beatty, and both Bobby Kennedy and Teddy Kennedy from the Kennedy family. I mean,
the full set.
Yeah, the full set. I mean, this is some family, isn't it? Eh?
Well, first of all, who didn't sleep with Frank Sinatra? So that's basically a free pass.
Right.
And as for the rest of them,
Bobby Kennedy, or Ted Kennedy, for that reason.
So much juicy rumour, and the concept of the movie is that there's a journalist looking for all this sort of juicy stuff from Jackie, hence the opening remark about, I suppose you want to know what the bullet sounded like. But no, she doesn't give him any of that. She just gives him a complete sort of whitewash. Everything in the garden was lovely, and so that's my version of the story, and I'm sticking to it. She doesn't go there. The rumours are more interesting than the facts, and the rumours are certainly more interesting than this particular film.
There's even a claim here that one of her lovers was Rudolf Nureyev. Now, that is very, very interesting, because I was the last man to see Rudolf Nureyev before he died.
So you say.
Yeah, I did. I was at his bedside when the poor guy passed away.
Yeah, believe it or not, Sandra, Porky somehow managed to break into his palatial villa in the Caribbean.
On St. Bart's.
And find him lying on his deathbed, and with nobody else in the room.
No.
So he gave him his last interview and then promptly died, so that he couldn't deny it or sue.
Yeah.
But this is why Porky is not the best journalist ever.
What do you mean?
He didn't get the deathbed confession about the Jackie O romp.
There you go.
Well, that's very true. Yeah. That is very true. I should have gone after that.
Do you mind
one.
if we get off this subject for a second, and talk about the Oscars? Because as much as you're obsessed with who Jackie O slept with, I don't think anybody else cares.
I think the world is, to be honest. I've got my finger on the button there.
I don't think so. La La Land is obviously swept aboard here, hasn't it? Is this not another example of Hollywood loving any movie about Hollywood?
Well, I mean, they have been guilty of that in the past, but this deserves all the accolades it gets. It's a history-making film. It's tied the record of the most Oscar nominations of all time. All About Eve and Titanic.
Wow!
Also got
That's
14
incredible.
nominations.
Because
and
I mean,
it could have been.
Sorry, Sandra, I was going to say it's not a film that's been universally praised. I mean, it's been praised by a lot of
people say it's rather weak.
People in the business, but a lot of other people, a lot of film critics haven't really liked it over here.
Are film critics really relevant anymore? Does anyone listen to my opinion that Jackie's rubbish? Everyone's a critic these days. In the era of social media, it's more like an aggregated opinion. It's what sort of everybody says.
We like listening to your opinion, though. Don't do yourself down. Well, you've been at that women's march. It's done something to you.
Yeah, well, I don't mind your opinion as long as it's the same as mine, Sandro.
Well, that's very fair and decent.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah.
La La Land, it could win all 14, except there's one category it's not expected to win. Best Actor, Ryan Gosling is expected to be beaten by Casey Affleck for some reason. He mumbles his way through Manchester by the Sea. I guess that kind of acting works for Marlon Brando. I can only understand about one word in 5. but the voters seem to like it. So, I think it's going to win at least 13 Oscars, and well-deserved, in my opinion.
Okay. That's going to be incredible, isn't it? We'll be like all about even a Titanic. Incredible. Sandra, thank you very much indeed. Sandra Minetti there, bringing us up to date with the Oscar nominations, which all came out yesterday, of course.
Thank you very much indeed.
He doesn't like that movie Jackie O, though.
No, he doesn't like it at all.
On about.
No, it's looking tense for Johanna.
Yeah.
Because
break point for Serena.
It is break point for Serena. I was about to say that before you so rudely interrupted. And
what's the ball doing now?
What's
the ball doing? Oh, that's it. She lost the game.
3-1 to Serena.
Yeah. Why are you singing like that?
Well, I'm just shocked. Yeah. I thought Johanna Konta was going to make mincemeat of Serena. And she's still good, of course, because this is best of 3 sets.
It is, yeah. Well, only if she wins one of them.
Well, that's right, yes.
This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Jason says this, Porky misses calling. His tennis commentary is riveting.
Yes.
Serena has blasted it.
Yes.
Tremendous insight.
Yes.
Weege says, can you ask Porky how many times the ball's gone over the net now?
Mm-hmm.
And Becky says, Porky cracks me up. 2 top-class female tennis stars, and he's commenting on who looks the most fetching.
Yeah, well, why not? It's part of the attraction of tennis these days.
Says, is Porky watching the Australian Open or Emmanuel? It's like listening to Benny Hill commentating. Now, I haven't told you yet about my great day today.
Well, hang on, before your great day. Well, I was telling you the story about Ricky Tomlinson, and you rudely interrupted me.
Oh, yeah.
And now
no, because we had to talk to Sandra Minetti.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you the conclusion of this. Then you can tell me about your day.
All right, then.
Right, well, Ricky Tomlinson. Now, you remember he used to be like a union boss in the building trade.
Indeed.
He got jailed when he was a plasterer for 2 years for conspiracy to intimidate workers, but always has insisted he's innocent, and has always denied the allegation, which led to him serving a bit of time. But anyway, the great story is this, right?
Yeah.
He was a very active trade unionist anyway in the building trade. When he planned a series of builders' strikes in the 70s, he did it from the Pied Bull. No, he didn't. He did it from the Bull and Stirrup.
The Bull and Stirrup?
Bull and Stirrup pub.
Where is that?
In the centre of Chester.
Is it?
Which used to be my watering hole when I worked on the Chester Chronicle.
So this is a story about you, inevitably?
No.
It's not a story about Ricky at all?
It says actor Ricky Tomlinson is to officially reopen the pub where he planned...
Is he from Chester, then?
I didn't think he was, but I mean, I'm not sure. I think he's a Scouser. I think he's a Liverpool man.
Yeah.
But, they could work all over the Northwest, couldn't they?
Well, people from Liverpool do tend to travel.
Yeah, they do.
It's not like they're locked in.
No, exactly.
There's no wall around the city or anything.
No, but you asked me if he was from Chester, and I said I thought probably not.
Yeah.
Actor Ricky Tomlinson is to officially reopen the pub where he planned a series of builder strikes in the 1970s. The royal family star, 77, then a plasterer, was jailed for 2 years for conspiracy to intimidate workers, but insists he is innocent. He will perform a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Bull and Stirrup in Chester next month.
Right.
Isn't that
great?
Maybe
you should go. Well, it's all right.
Isn't that brilliant? I think that's the pub.
It means nothing to me.
I think that's the pub in Northgate Street next to the old fire station.
Well, it may well be. I don't know
Yes.
Chester very well.
Yes.
I didn't work there as a youth. I didn't
The
spend any
Bull
time
and
there.
Stirrup.
I've never been to the Bull and Stirrup, so frankly, it's an anecdote that I don't really
Actually,
have
that
any
might be the
interest in.
Pied Bull I'm thinking about, Somebody will tell me where the Bull and Stirrup is, but I'm certain I've drunk there many times.
Well, if it's in Chester and it's a pub, I'm pretty sure you will have been there plenty of times.
That is true.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Now, how did your day go?
Well, my day went very well because I finally decided to bite the bullet, right?
Bite the bullet.
To grasp the nettle.
You break your teeth?
No, to do many things which you could also make akin to that, and that was to try and finally get my car started. The old car.
I told you how to do it, obviously.
What did you say?
I said that you should get into the car by using the key.
Yeah.
And you said, I've used the key 3 or 4 times, it doesn't work. I said, use it again.
Yeah.
You wiggled it around, you opened the door.
I did manage to do that,
you.
so I knew.
So you will thank me for that then?
Well, no, actually, lots of people suggested I should do that. What you suggested was that I should ring somebody up to bring a crusher and take the car away and just have it crushed.
Yeah, you could have done that as well.
That's what you suggested. That was your piece
So
of
anyway,
advice,
you got
right?
into the car. What happened next?
Well, never mind. So anyway, I got into the car a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I know that.
So I knew that I could get into the car, but what I had to do was to find somebody that could jump-start the battery. Right? And I was slightly concerned about the fact that I'd parked it nose in an underground car park, which might have made it difficult for somebody to do that.
Well, can't you lift the bonnet?
Well, you can lift the bonnet, but can you get
Can't
something
get the leads around.
close
Yes,
enough
I see.
to actually, do it all?
Go on,
that was all unknown.
Right, go on.
So I managed to. Somebody had been kind enough to send
Oh my
me.
God! It's 4-2 to Serena.
Well, it was 4-1 a minute ago.
Yeah, it's 4-2
So
now.
actually, Johanna has won a game back.
Yeah, go on.
But basically, I thought to myself, I was going to take the advice of someone who said, ring this number, battery, replacement service.
Well, there's a card pushed through your door.
No. Somebody tweeted it to me when we were talking about it a few weeks ago.
I see.
So I rang the number. It turns out to be an AA number, right? And they said, "Are you a member of the AA?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, in that case, we
Push
can't help
off,
you."
buddy.
I said, "Well, I thought this was a battery assist line, so that if you need battery assisting, you could come and help me out." "Oh, well, you have to join the AA." I said, "Well, I don't do that."
How much does that cost, by the way?
Well, I don't know, probably about 60 quid a year or something.
I suppose so. Yeah.
But anyway, I got free green flag coverage with my bank account, right? So I thought, I might as well use that.
So did you ring them up?
So I rang them up, and I didn't want to ring them because I said, technically it's my second car. And
I introduced green flag to this country, don't you?
No, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about that because I'm not interested in what you introduced to this country. It's probably not even true.
Go on.
You probably introduced a red flag to this country, not
green flag.
All right, well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, so I rang them up and just said, look, this is basically a normal breakdown. I said, but it's not an emergency. The car's in an underground car park. And they sent this very nice guy who came a couple of hours later. And I described how high it was so that they could get a smaller van in and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And so I managed to open the bonnet for him. He had a temporary... sort of mobile jump start thing.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah.
But that wasn't strong enough because the battery was dead as a doorknob. Dead as a dormouse.
Dead as a dormouse, yeah.
Dead as a doornail. Anyway, certainly dead, as dead could be.
Yeah.
So he then had to bring the van inside.
Oh, God.
Because that was the only thing he could use to start it up. He then got it charged.
The van, of course, has a much higher powered battery.
He does, and he plugged it into the sort of the front bumper,
Yep.
So got that going, and of course, there were terrible fumes because it's a very old car.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we had to go and stand outside. So I was a bit worried I might pass out from the fumes.
From carbon monoxide
poisoning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then we got it out, and he said finally he managed to get it to the point where it was running on its own. And he said... He then started asking me about the car, and he said, "So what do you want to do with it?" He said, "Because I think you're going to probably need a new battery."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, to be honest, I'm trying to get rid of it. I just want to sell it."
Yeah.
I'm not really that bothered about
this was the green flag driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was from a local breakdown service that they use because they bring somebody local.
Yeah.
And so he told me he might buy it off me.
Right.
Which I thought was great.
How much are you going to flog it to him for?
I'm not telling you, because that's confidential information.
Well, somebody offered you £1,000 for it.
Well, I was given somebody the option of buying it for £1,000. But I hadn't heard from this guy, right? He's my neighbour.
Yeah, but is this guy offering more than £1,000?
At the moment, we're in very delicate negotiations. I don't particularly wish to go into that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So what happened was, he said, right, it's now time for you to bring the car out. And he said, I think you're probably going to need to get a new battery. And he said, why don't you drive over to Halfords? By this time, it's about 4:30.
Right.
And I said, well, I don't really want to drive to Halfords in the rush hour. It's going to take about an hour to get there, an hour to get back.
Oh, well, where's Halfords then?
It's in the Old Kent Road.
Oh, blimey. You don't want that, do you?
Well, I mean, you could get there in like 10 minutes. But,
Yeah.
I mean, when it's 4:30 in the afternoon. No. Yeah. Anyway, so he said, why don't you just take it for a little spin? So I drove it around, sort of the local roads.
To try and warm the battery up,
Nearly crashed it, to be honest, because the brakes are very, very different. Much softer than the brakes on the new car.
Exactly.
And I was going towards the bus and I put my foot on the brake. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened, no.
And I was driving around it thinking, how could I have been driving this for such a long time?
And not crashed into someone.
And just, but you do get used to this rather nice car.
Oh, God, it's 5-2 to Serena.
Well, stop interrupting me.
Sorry, go on.
I mean, you've put the curse on Conter, haven't you?
Well,
you were so
not
full of it.
good.
I told you was so full of it.
Anyway, continue.
2 straight sets. Anyway, so I brought it back, and I said, I said, have you not got a battery? And he said, well, I have. He said, but you might be better off. They might give you a better one. He said, because the battery I'm going to give you is one that you need to drive the car every day.
Right.
So I almost drove it in here tonight, actually.
Right.
But I started it before I came in.
You're still insured to drive it?
Yeah, I'm insured to drive it, because I've got third party on any other car.
Right, okay, yeah.
So he said, why don't you switch it off and see what happens? So I switched it off, it wouldn't start again.
Right.
So he put a new battery in,
right,
which was about 100 quid.
100 quid. Where did he get the battery from?
He had it in his van.
Oh, okay. So why did he tell you to go to Halfords in the first place?
Because he said they had a better selection. And he said that
he's not a very good salesman, is he?
Well, he's not interested in sales, being a salesman. And he said basically, if you want a battery to sit in the car and you're not going to drive it for a couple of weeks, then you should get a different kind of battery.
Heavy-duty battery.
But if you want to get one that you're going to drive every day, then I'll give you it from here. Yeah. But as we were putting the battery in, the guy who wants to buy the car then walked
Suddenly
past.
appears,
Yeah. So he then started having a look inside, and he said, I thought you weren't interested because you didn't get back to me. I said, no, I'm still interested. So he's going to come and see the car on Friday.
Why do they want to buy a car that's got 2 huge holes in the front bonnet?
Because it's a very nice car.
But it's a wreck.
It's not a wreck, and it's also cheap.
How are they going to render the holes in the bonnet?
Well, they just get it fixed. I mean, I could have got them fixed, but somebody who wanted to fix it wanted to charge me £500.
I find the whole thing ridiculous.
The guy who's in the breakdown business will know people who can redo the body.
Yeah.
You know, he could probably get it done for a lot less money than I would.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I've got 2 people who want to buy it.
Right.
And I guess I just have to wait and see which one of them wants to pay
There's a
more.
huge demand for the wreck.
Yeah, well, see...
Huge demand for MG's wreck.
Yeah, well, this is what you
Tell
don't
you what,
know.
you must have some trash people living near you, man. You only want to buy that heap of junk.
Well,
eh?
one of them doesn't live anywhere near me. He's the very kind guy who came and fixed the car.
Yeah.
Right?
How much do you have to pay him?
Hey? You pay him anything.
Well, because it's a service with your insurance policy.
Yeah.
Did you
pay him nothing?
What sort of tip did you give him?
I didn't give any tip. I bought a battery off him for £100.
You miserable cur. Miserable dog.
This is the TalkSport 2 Mike show. Got a lot of bits of information here on the Bull and Stirrup.
Yes.
Andy says the Bull and Stirrup is on the way to Blacken, just past Fountains Roundabout. Does that make sense?
No, because there's another one which says it's in Upper Northgate Street, which is exactly where I believed it to be, right next to the old fire station.
OK, Stuart says the Bull and Stirrup is reopening as a second Wetherspoons. It's near the Fountains Roundabout.
Fountains Roundabout.
That's the second one that says it's near the Fountains Roundabout.
Well, the Fountains Roundabout is higher up Upper Northgate. Maybe I'm thinking of the Pied Bull. But the Bull and Stirrup, I think I know where it is now. I think it's on the corner of Delamere Street, near the Fountains Roundabout, which is right at the top of, and takes you onto the one-way system, the Chester one-way system.
It's all of very little interest to me.
And, it's of great interest to me and my flock, who are from that part of the world.
Well, your flock are not from that part of the world, actually.
Well, some of my flock are.
Many of them are from all parts of the world.
Now,
Liz says this. I'm beginning to wonder why it's called the 2 Mikes, because Mike Parry thinks it's all about him. How does he do that?
Yeah, but I've replied to her, if she wasn't paying attention to her information machine, to say not many people are interested in what you've got to say on this show.
Well, I think you'll find that's incorrect.
By the way, I've had one here from Paul M.A. Thompson.
Yeah.
Now, that's quite interesting, because we knew Paul Thompson, didn't we, in the newspaper business?
We did indeed. He went to work in Florida.
He
I think he might be
emigrated
still
to Florida.
There.
He went there first as the US correspondent for The Express, I think, in the dying days of correspondence, didn't he?
No, I think he went.
No, he didn't actually.
No, he left The Express and went to work for The Sun.
Oh, that's right.
And
Sorry.
then he went out there for them, I think.
That's
but then he decided to stay there.
That's right. He did. Well, he went to went there for The Sun to New York, and then I think he decided to stay and went to. But I think he went there just as the newspaper industry sort of collapsed, didn't it? But he decided to stay.
Well, as they started to pull back on some of the foreign correspondence that they had, certainly.
But anyway, look, what I was going to say is, this Paul M.A. Thompson guy, he says, what has Porky and Thomas Telford got in common?
What is that? What have they got in common?
Well, then he shows a very nice picture of what looks like a very elegant bar called the Thomas Telford.
Yeah.
He says it's a Wetherspoons.
Well, it can't be that elegant then, can it?
Well, it's a very elegant. And
Did you see there was a story the other day?
I don't know why he's denigrating Wetherspoons bars. There's 750 of them in this country.
Wetherspoons and one other, but it doesn't make it good just because there's loads of them.
Makes it popular.
Well, it makes it popular up to a point. I've never been in a crowded Wetherspoons, though. They're very, very big pubs.
You're joking.
They're very big pubs.
They get absolutely packed, particularly on Fridays when they serve fish and chips.
Well, I don't go there on a Friday. I'm too busy taking my children to school and picking them up from school. I don't go hanging around in pubs all day.
Well, I'm sorry, mate, but I mean, if you're a bit more expansive and mixed with the working people as I do, you would know.
Yeah, but you don't
here
mix
we go.
with anyone.
Sorry,
You sit there on your own.
Sorry, it's another one here. It says the Bull and Stirrup is on the way to Blaken, just past the Fountains Roundabout.
I read you that one first.
Well, I'm just not aware.
I asked you if it made any sense to you, and you said no.
Stirrup. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I don't think you know Chester at all.
No, I think it could be the one I'm thinking of.
I mean, you were so blatherated when you were there, you probably can't remember which street is which.
I wonder if it could be the one on an island, so to speak.
Well, that would be,
little island on the one-way system. It could be.
Now,
if it is, it's next to the petrol station where I used to work.
Let me give you an update on the Porky quiz scenario, because it's now back into from 50. It's 58 to 42.
Okay.
In favour of Winston Churchill.
Still in favour of Winston Churchill.
So it's quite close. We've only got until the end of this show.
Yes.
So we've only really got approximately about 45 minutes.
Well, I think it's almost certainly now going to be
well, no, because it was
Winston Churchill.
It was 65-35.
Yeah, okay.
It's now 58-42, so it's getting closer.
Okay. Now, let me tell you about Green Flag.
Yeah, okay.
It's a really interesting story.
Is it?
When I was Director of Communications of the Football Association...
You weren't Director of Communications,
England, I'll ignore that. England took on sponsorship for the first time.
Yes.
There was, in fact, no sponsorship on the shirts at all. It was a completely new concept. This was in 1995, OK?
Yes.
So there was a guy there called Trevor, who was the commercial director. I can't remember his name now.
Trevor of the FA?
Yeah, Trevor...
Trevor Brooking.
No, it wasn't Trevor Brooking, although Trevor was associated with the FA on the football side. No, this guy was the commercial director, and in fact he had this habit of smoking in his office, even though it was banned, and keeping an ashtray in a drawer in his desk. You know, it was that sort of arrangement.
Right.
I might remember his name in a minute. Trevor Phillips? Yeah, I think it might have been Trevor Phillips.
No, he was the guy who used to be the head of the National Union of Students, who then went on to have a place at the head of some quango or other. And he worked on Channel
Equal
4.
Opportunities Commission.
Trevor Phillips, that was him, yeah.
That was it, all right. Well, it's Trevor somebody else. Anyway, he was a, very, amiable sort of guy, very good at his job.
Yeah.
And we had this meeting, and one of the potential sponsors for the England football team was Mars.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, well, that's a great name, isn't it? Obviously, that would be fantastic. They're one of the world's most famous sort of confectioners. Mars is a worldwide brand.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, he said, but that's too easy. I said, what do you mean?
It's owned by an American company now.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. Well, I think the people who own Mars are amongst the richest in the world, aren't they?
Yes.
Mars Confectionery.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said, no, it's too simple. I said, what do you mean? I said, perfectly simple to me. I said, that because my job was to sell it to the general public. You see what I mean?
Right.
And he said, no. He said, there's this other company. And I said, who are they? He said, they're called Green Flag.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think they were owned by National Car Parks, which was run by Sir Donald Gosling, was it?
Yeah, that's him, yeah.
Yeah,
he
that's
became
right,
very wealthy as a result.
Very wealthy.
He had a lot of yachts, I seem to remember.
He did have a lot of yachts, and what he did is he picked up bomb sites all round the country after the Second World War,
and
literally just cleared them and turned them into car parks as the car ownership figures.
And charged an awful lot of money to park there.
Well, I didn't think there was that expensive in those days. It's very expensive now, but there you go. But anyway, so I said, who are they? He said, well, they're a breakdown organisation akin to the AA and the RAC.
And the RAC, yeah.
And I said, well, why do you think they'd be a good... He said, because if we can turn them from nothing into a national entity, a national name, by them sponsoring the England football team,
right.
He said, the next sponsor, I'll be able to charge double what I charge this one, because it means we've made their name worldwide, because England are a worldwide product, you know, the England football team. So he went with that. And then the first time we launched it was at Old Trafford, and I remember that morning... The Manchester United team went to train at Old Trafford because it was winter. It was like January.
Yeah.
And there was something wrong with their... They trained in those days at a place called The Cliff, which was their training ground. And it was waterlogged, apparently, or there was something wrong with it.
Right.
And so they were training at Old Trafford. So we were there with this promotion, launched this Green Flag thing with all sorts of football legends, you know, like... I can't remember actually, but half the Manchester United team were involved, and
lots of legends.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I remember Ryan Giggs warming up on the sidelines and all this kind of stuff, and belting balls at the goalkeeper and all that kind of stuff, and they launched it there and then, and they have been prominent ever since. So that's where Green Flag came from.
So are you saying that you're now going to lay claim to their fame?
I introduced Green Flag to this country without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay.
You know, I went along with Trevor, or whatever his name was, and said, yes, we should do it. This is a brilliant decision. And sure enough, we did. We launched them as a sponsor in sport, and they've never looked back since.
Right. So it wasn't your idea then, it was his?
I endorsed it, and I think that's what
so
gave it...
you've stolen it now?
No, that's what gave it the go-ahead, in my view.
Okay. In your view?
In my view.
Well, talking about names and things going badly wrong, how about this BT story? They've taken an £8 billion hit, apparently, off the value of their stock.
Unbelievable.
After some Italian scandal, which is likely to blow a £530 million hole in their accounts. I'll talk to you about that coming up in a moment.
But it's taken $8 billion off the value of the company.
Well, it has, yeah. It's wiped it off the share price.
Good God.
But, I mean, sometimes that often comes back, but certainly there seems to be some trouble at Mill.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Madness, they call it madness. Madness, they call it madness. I'm about to explain it, and then someone is losing it.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. David has tweeted. He says, Congo, the team Porky said were not up to a World Cup final, continue to lead their group in the African Nations Cup.
Of course.
No idea. And one from Rob, who says, I'm with you, MG. Zero interest in Porky's Chester pub story.
What?
Move on, you plank.
Hey, come off it. You know, everybody's interested in pubs, no matter where they are.
No, I wouldn't say that.
And this is this pub's been rebuilt. I can't...
Maybe you should do a book about your guide to pubs of the UK.
Yeah, I could do.
Why don't you do that?
Well, in fact, funnily enough, I think we can reveal a few little things about this year's Christmas adventure. It's not going to be a DVD this year, is it?
Well, you say that, but there might be one of those as well.
Well, there might be one of those as well, but the plan at the moment is the two mics first Christmas annual.
There is that, yes.
And that will include, at the moment, the plans are to include the two mics pub guide to the best in Britain.
That may well do, probably the worst as well.
Yes, and the worst, yeah.
Now,
that's right,
and without wishing to engage you in yet another story about you,
yes,
I've got a very important piece of information for you.
Right.
You know where Barack Obama and his wife Michelle are spending their holiday?
Well, I know that they've taken up the home of a Washington-based billionaire to live in after coming out of the White House.
That's
which
right.
I think was on Massachusetts Avenue.
Well, I believe actually that they're in the same street. It doesn't look like Massachusetts Avenue.
It's in Georgetown.
I think it's in Georgetown.
Yeah.
I think they're on the same street as Ivanka
and
her
they
husband.
are, actually.
And literally about 3 doors away.
I think you're right. I think
which
it's
is
an
going to be
exclusive
interesting
street.
when they go out and get the post in the morning.
Yeah, but
they went initially for 3 nights to Palm Springs, right, in California.
And I say where they'll go after that.
To the home of US Ambassador to Spain James Costos,
right,
and his interior designer husband Michael Smith. These are the guys that apparently redid the White House for them, and the private quarters of the White House.
Yes, that's
Have you seen, by the way, that Trump's put gold curtains in the Oval Office?
They're not gold, are they?
They are.
They are.
They're gold.
He took down the crimson curtains.
Yeah, they're gold.
That Obama had
well,
put
they're
up.
not.
They're actually more yellow than gold.
Well, they're gold.
No, honestly, they're yellow.
No, they're Trump's favourite colour, which is gold. Joe Conter has just broken the serve of Serena Williams.
I know, this is good news.
Shall we go to Lisa and
Indeed, find out what's going on.
Lisa.
Fantastic game there from Joe Conter. Serena Williams was romping away with it, and 40-15 up, looked comfortably to be holding her serve, but Conter returning everything that's coming back over the net at her and pulling level with their holding on to break on the first break point she was offered, and she now leads this second set 2-1 and will be coming out to extend that advantage after the end change.
Let's see if she can do that. By the way, just to finally put the nail in the coffin of that the Chester story,
yes.
Real Ale Chester
yes.
is a Twitter account which
right.
has said this.
Good.
The Bud & Stirrup is on Upper Northgate / George Street, kind of opposite to the original Blue Coat School.
Oh, I know exactly where it is.
So now do you know where it is?
Yeah, I said it was on the corner of Northgate Street and Delamere Street.
Yeah.
But Delamere Street runs parallel to George Street.
Right, okay.
So I know exactly where it is now.
Well, now you're happy then.
I'm very happy.
Good.
Thank you very much
now,
indeed.
do you know where Barack Obama's spending the rest of his summer holiday?
Hawaii.
No.
No.
Incorrect. He's staying at a place where you've been.
Oh.
Necker Island.
Oh, he's gone Necker with Richard Branson.
He has.
Who apparently is funding, at huge expense, all the sort of campaigning for revisiting Brexit and all this kind of stuff.
Except for one thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I suspect he's not wherever you were staying, because according to the piece I'm reading, Necker rents for $80,000 a night.
Yes, that's right.
£64,000.
Yeah.
So Richard Branson's spokespeople will not say whether, of course, they're paying.
Yes.
I imagine they won't be paying. I imagine they'll be giving it for nothing. But they also went to the island on Sir Richard's private jet.
Yes, I would have done, yeah.
So when you say that, but I mean, that's not the way you went, is it?
Well, you can't land on Necker Island. There's no runway. You land on Antigua, and then you get a boat from Antigua over there to Necker. I think you can land on Virgin Goa if you've got a private jet.
Virgin Goa?
There's that's the main island.
Virgin Gorda?
Yeah, that's right, Virgin Gorda. That's the main island of the British Virgin Islands. But when you say, I'm not sure you stayed in the same place you stayed in, there is only one place on Necker Island, that is the house.
So you stayed in somewhere that cost £68,000 a night?
Absolutely, yeah.
What a waste of time that must have been.
No, it's brilliant. The only other
Did
place...
you send all the food back when they brought it to you? And asked for, sausages?
No, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. The food
that's
was
what you normally do.
immaculate. It was all like local seafood.
Yeah, but you don't like garlic.
You
You don't like anything that's
done
done
up.
up.
Serve me garlic. They served fresh sea bass and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They
had sea bass at Crystal Palace. You didn't have any of that.
No, I didn't actually. I had salmon instead, which was lovely.
The
poached
salmon was very good.
It was poached salmon. It was lovely.
Yeah.
And no, I was going to say the only other place you can stay on Necker Island is the sports and boat complex, which is just at the other end of the island, but it's not a very big island, if you see what I mean. But the only building of substance is the house, with its infinity pool and its 10 bedrooms. All have got outside showers. It's got the most fantastic disco arrangement, you know, where you can play any song from anywhere in the world on a satellite system and all that kind of stuff.
Why do you need a satellite system? Why don't you just get off Spotify?
Probably that's what it is these days.
Yeah.
And when I was there, it was a satellite system,
right.
you know.
Now, according to this piece that I was reading, Mr. Obama has been spotted in Palm Springs playing golf on Oracle founder Larry Ellison's private golf course.
Yeah, he seems
and
to
working out an exclusive country club gym.
Yeah, he seems to be taking advantage of the more wealthy members of American society at the moment, doesn't it?
Well, he does rather.
I don't see him getting down with the kids in sort of Chicago or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Where he came from,
it's funny,
as a senator.
Isn't that unusual?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, not so unusual.
Now, I want to tell you about a scandal I've come across.
Yeah, go on.
And it really will affect you as well as me.
Will it?
Fines for drivers caught speeding at far above the legal limit will rise by at least 50% under new rules issued to courts yesterday.
Isn't there some suggestion as well that they're going to be linked to income?
Oh, this is an outrage. I'm about to get to that. Those guilty of the most serious offences will have to pay 1.5 times their weekly pay, equivalent to 150%.
Right.
Previously, they were ordered to hand over the amount they earned each week.
Conta's just won her own set game, by the way. So it's 3-1 now.
3-1.
It's coming back.
3-1.
She's coming back.
3-1. 3-1.
All right.
One
It's not a football
Joanna
match.
Conta. There's only
Stop
one
that.
Joanna Conta.
Don't sully the good name of tennis. By
Anyway,
behaving
let me get back
like
to
an
this. Let me get back to this disgraceful story.
Yeah, right.
Previously, drivers were ordered to hand over the amount they earned each week. Right, that's bad enough. But there was a £5,000 cap on penalties. Right, the cap will now be abolished under new guidelines.
Yeah.
So the highest.
So hang on. So up to now, if you were done for speeding, you were asked to pay a week's wages as well.
Yes.
As the fine. So that's already in existence.
No, the fine was a week's wages.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The fine was a week's wages.
So they would calculate that because you would have to supply them with the amount of money you made in a week.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you earn £50,000 a year, you paid £1,000 basically. Okay. Right. But if you earn £250,000 a year, you paid £5,000. Right. But if you earned £500,000 a year, the cap was £5,000. You didn't pay £10,000.
Right.
Now that cap's now been abolished. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it says. For the wealthiest offenders, it means a speeding fine could now amount to many thousands of pounds. There is no upper limit.
What if you're like Paul McCartney? You'd have to pay about £1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would. Yeah, I think his figure showed £69 million last year or something. Yeah. So it says the higher fine set by the sentencing council.
And who gets that money?
I bet they're a right bunch of bums, you know.
Well, you're the one who's
sentencing council.
Well, you've worked within the legal system.
What a bunch of deadbeat losers.
You've worked within
civil servants.
Stop shouting. You've worked within the legal system, right?
Yes.
Within recent memory.
Yes.
When you went and did your jury service.
Yes, that's right.
Did you not come across anyone from the sentencing council?
No, I didn't. If I had done, I'd have smacked them in the face.
Well, hang on. Aren't they there to sort of deal with criminality and all the rest of it?
I don't think they do much speeding at Crown Court. I think it's at Magistrates Court.
Okay.
So it says the new rules will apply from the 24th of April in Magistrates Courts. They will hit drivers convicted of doing more than 100 miles an hour on a motorway or other roads with a 70 mile an hour limit, those going at more than 50 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour limit, or more than 40 in a 20 mile an hour zone.
Well, that's fair enough. You shouldn't go 50 in a 30 or 40 in a 20. Yeah. You shouldn't do it.
So get this. Under the new rules, a motorist on an average salary of £28,000, which is apparently the national average salary.
That is the average salary, yeah.
Would be fined £800 for more serious speeding offences.
Is it net income, by the way, or gross?
It's gross income.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it is. Exactly, because you pay. No, it's gross. It's
that
gross
can't
income.
Be fair.
That's what it says.
That's not your income, is it?
No. Well, it's you've got to make your own arrangements with tax, haven't you?
Well, no, but most people work on a PAYE basis. You'd have to say.
Now the reason.
Excuse me. I'm
yes.
Just clarifying something.
Yes.
Most people work on a PAYE basis, don't they?
Yeah.
In this country, so I mean, it's not fair to say that your gross income is what you should pay because that's not your income.
Well, listen, £800 on a salary of £28,000 is much more, in my view, than a week's salary.
Yeah.
Because if you earn £800, I thought your salary is about 40 grand a year, but it's not.
Well,
for somebody earning £28,000, you're fined £800 or more. I mean, that's an outrage. Okay. Now, what I'm going to say is that this once again, is a huge element of discrimination against.
£800 a week is 41 grand a year.
That's what I mean. But if you earn 28,000, you will be paying 800
well, that doesn't seem
and you're
right.
fine. Well, I've no idea, but that's under the new rules. OK? So I think you're right. I think you get a basic fine plus a cap-up, a top-up, yeah. So it's an outrage. Now, this is an outrage because it means that for anybody, who's decided to put their back into life, to make something of themselves, to earn a decent living, they're going to be penalised badly.
Well, hang on, that doesn't entitle you to speed. There's no reason to speed.
I'm not saying it does, but you should be treated as fairly as anybody else.
Well, you are.
It's no good saying that the great unwashed can have one set of rules for themselves and that those people
maybe they should give you a special supplement as to how expensive your car is.
Who have made something of their lives suddenly have to pay a load more money because I don't even believe that the speed limit's right anyway. It should be 80 miles an hour, not 70. So if I get convicted of doing 80 miles an hour, 10 miles over the speed limit, I then get penalised in a massively...
Well, just don't speed.
Unfair and discriminate fashion.
Well, no, just don't speed. It's a quite perfectly simple law.
I don't speed.
I mean, you're not supposed to murder people.
I do not
go around murdering them, so don't speed.
I do not speed.
Don't you?
I have not been done for speeding for over 10 years. That is a fantastic record. Few people can say that, right?
Uh-huh.
In fact, the other night, actually, I got a bit worried because I was going home from here.
Yeah.
And is one of these.
The time, by the way.
Well, let me just tell this story. It's important to our millions of listeners.
Sure?
And there's a camera where there's a sign just before it which says 20 miles an hour.
Uh-huh.
So this is one of these ludicrous. I mean, at 4:30 in the morning, driving at 20 miles an hour on a deserted street is ridiculous.
That's still the rule, though, so you have to do it.
But what happened was an ambulance with flashing lights came belting up behind me.
Yeah.
In order to get out of the way, I had to put my foot down and shoot past the camera at about 26 miles an hour.
Why can't you just pull into the side?
Well, I tried to, but the ambulance was coming so fast, I had to move with alacrity, believe me.
Well, surely they would have gone round you, easier.
Well, I didn't want them to, in case they had some sick person in the back who might have rolled off his blinking stretcher and smashed himself on the floor or something.
If there's nobody on the road, they would have been able to go round you.
Well, I didn't know what they were going to do, so I moved out the way, but I had to put my foot down.
That sounds
and I'm worried I might be discriminated against for being kind to sick people.
Sounds to me you don't know how to drive properly. I think they should give you a test. You're almost doing that age anyway. We'll be coming back, of course, to what's going on with Serena Williams and Joe Conter. It's love 40 to Serena in her service game.
And Ask Porky.
Ask Porky's coming up as well. Your problem solved. Any issues that you may have, whether they be business related. I have suggested maybe if they are medically related, you might not want to ask because it may not be the best thing to do.
I can change your life.
But he can change your life. And we're going to start off with a football related question, actually. We've got loads on Facebook and on Twitter. This one came in from Stuart on Twitter. As we say up here in Sunderland, Sunderland have signed Lescott. Does Porky think his mate Moyes is so scarred from his Man United experience that he's gone mad?
No, I don't. I think that it's quite obvious when you see David Moyes in press conferences how resilient he's trying to be in a situation which is hapless for him. He's got no money. The owner of the club wants to sell it. He's not going to give him any funds to buy new players. And frankly, it is the biggest indication yet of the desperation of Sunderland to sign a player, Jonan Lescott, who, as I understand it, hasn't even played for 3 months and last played in some European leagues, in Greece or somewhere, or Turkey, in a game that they lost 3-0.
He only stayed there for 3 months.
He only stayed there for 3 months, and frankly, it's a death knell. It's a death knell for Sunderland. The whole thing is a shocking mess.
Here's one from Stuart, related to Chester, funnily enough, on Facebook. My wife and I are going to Chester to stay in the Grosvenor Hotel next weekend.
Yeah.
She wants to go shopping for a meal in a posh restaurant. I want to go to the nearest Wetherspoons for fish and chips, a bottle of Pinot, followed by horizontal refreshment.
Yes.
Who should get their choice?
Well, I think you should do both things, really, because, I mean, the Grosvenor Hotel is right at the entrance to the Grosvenor Precinct, where all the nice shops are, OK? And your wife can easily go around there. Now, I'm not even aware of a Wetherspoons in Chester, to be honest, because they weren't around in my day. And on the visits I've made there, I've actually gone to some old boozers that my mates and I used to use to see some of them. And I drink in the cocktail bar at the Grosvenor Hotel. So I don't know where the Wetherspoons are, but I'm certain there are Wetherspoons in Chester, and I've never been let down by Wetherspoons anywhere in the country. So please just log into the register on your information device about Wetherspoons, and you'll find it. And as for your wife, she'll really enjoy going shopping on her own because it's a paradise for shoppers. People go there from all over the country.
Kevin says this on Facebook: are we ever going to see the back of this reality TV garbage? I thought the bubble would have burst by now, but it goes on and on. I can't believe people watch them. So many people with genuine talent are being frozen out.
Well, it's all about trends in television, isn't it? You know, years and years ago, we all liked the beautiful dating programmes like, what was it called? Blind Date.
What, Blind Date instead of Black Date?
And all that kind of stuff. And we found that fascinating, didn't we? That people would, actually talk to somebody else through a screen and then go off on a date with them. Thing is, hardly anybody ever got married to anybody else, so it never quite worked and it died out. And I'm sure reality shows will die out eventually. They just happen to be the vogue. But they bore me to death. I've never seen one, actually. I've never seen an episode of a reality show. So it's just trends.
How do you know they bore you to death then?
Well, because I can't watch them for more than 5 minutes without thinking, what a bunch of losers, So that's all.
Gary says this: if you were 20 years younger or even 30 years younger, what would you change? I don't know whether he means what would you change about you or anything else. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't think you can, actually. You can't go back on that. Life is full of both highs and lows, of both opportunities and pitfalls, and you just have to react to them as you go along. It's no good saying, what would I change? Because at the time, you have to make that decision. It's called existentialism, which is something I follow. And frankly, I've got to where I am now feeling not too bad about the way life's worked out. And so I'd be tempting fate to go back and say I'd change anything. Nothing.
How about this from Matthew? He says, hi, Porky. I've recently started taking my 4-year-old daughter to feed the ducks at our local park.
Yeah.
We've been giving them bread. Is this suitable or should we be using something else?
Well, I've never had a problem with bread. I mean, I do take peas now and corn and stuff like that, and I do honestly scatter it onto the pond, and the birds just ignore it completely. They're just not interested, anything green or anything like that. They're just not interested. So I always take brown bread, and believe me, that's the only thing they want to eat. And I've never, in my lifetime of feeding ducks, and, for a long, long time, I've never, been told by anybody locally that's bad for them and don't do it, or by a vet or anything like that. And B, I've never seen a duck get sick or ill eating bread.
How about this from Scott? He says on Twitter, with Donald Trump now in charge, what advice would you have for him to make a success of being president?
That's such a long and complicated question. What I'd say is one opportunity Donald Trump can bring to the world is that he is a successful businessman. I accept that he's had some unsuccessful businesses, but then so have most men who've made big fortunes. Everybody's fallen along the way in one particular aspect of their business. You look at the top entrepreneurs in the world now. Something they've taken on is not working. They've just dropped it. Lord Alan Sugar always said, I've started businesses. When I found they haven't worked, I've just dropped them. It happens all the time. I would say that he is a breath of fresh air in his approach to the political game, in that he's not playing politics. He's trying to do what he thinks is right for America, the way it should be done in terms of how you'd run a business. For that point of view, I'm prepared to give him an opportunity to try and make it work.
Colin says this: I need to break up a 10-hour drive to Dornoch for golf in March. Do you know any good places for lunch in Edinburgh?
Where's Dornoch?
Dornoch is up in the northwest of the Scottish sort of Highlands.
Well, I personally don't.
Great golf course. Dornoch.
Yeah, I personally don't, but I have to say one of my ambitions in life is to get into a really nice car, of which I already have one, but an even nicer car, which I hope to acquire, and to drive some of those Highland routes, which I've never done before, maybe to drive around the top of the coast of Scotland, Fort William and all that, and certainly through the Highlands and Islands, because it's a part of the country which I simply don't know enough about. I wish you luck on your trip.
Well, Royal Dornoch is a beautiful golf course.
I'm sure it is.
Up on the bit towards John O'Groats from Inverness. Well worth a visit.
Great.
Here's one from Dylan. He says, after serious illness, the boss keeps mentioning a return date for me to go back to work. It's a tad early. I'm very good. I'm on very good wages, and it's a specialist job. Should I put my health first?
Well, you should always put your health first, but at the same time, you have to be aware of the pressures within your business. I had a long layoff here at Talk Sport, and I was never under pressure to come back, but it was obvious to me that the longer I was away, the more difficult it was going to be to reintegrate myself into the business. The truth of the matter is, without being harsh or unkind, is when you are ill and you're not in your workplace, you are largely forgotten about, not through the cruelty of your employers or the indifference of your work colleagues. The fact is you're just not there, and somebody has to do the job that you're doing, and therefore you'll find yourself in an increasingly difficult situation.
Dave says, apart from MG, who has been the biggest influence in your life of all the people you have known personally?
I'll be perfectly honest. It would go right back to the start of my journalist career when I was at a journalist training school. And there was a man called John Brownlee who had been the news editor of the Newcastle Evening Chronicle and then moved on to take over the training centre. He taught me absolutely all the basics in newspaper journalism, which I then took into every other form of the communications business I've done, and I owe him a huge debt, and he was a great guy, and he lived well into his 90s. He was a very, very sturdy man.
Here's another football-related one from Parker. He says, how do I get rid of the Indian chicken barons that are killing one of football's oldest clubs? And he says, hashtag Venky's out. So I think you know what he's talking about.
Well, yeah, talking about Blackburn Rovers there. Well, look, I mean, that is a point of view, to be honest, because I had quite a lot to do with that and with the representatives of the Venky's in this country. You and I both knew the agent that was dealing with at the time, and he put up a good case for them, saying they were saving a club, not ruining a club. But the local fans are very, very unhappy about the way things have been going lately. The club is not in a good position in terms of an overseas investor has come in. He's not exactly done for Blackburn what Roman Abramovich has done for Chelsea. I appreciate the fans' frustrations, but remember, the Venky family have invested a lot of money in Blackburn, so you have to
there's a lot of clubs in the worst state as well.
There's a lot of clubs in the worst state, and you have to look at it from that point of view. What would you be like without the outside investment?
Here's one from Ragnar on Facebook. An all-expenses paid meal with Putin or Trump. Who would you choose?
All expenses paid. What? Sorry, say again.
Dinner with either Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump.
I think with Vladimir Putin, I think he's an absolutely fascinating man. He also drinks vodka, and Donald Trump's a lifelong teetotaler, isn't he? And all members of his family are. Not that should make any difference, of course, in terms of the the cultural benefit of dining with two of the world's great leaders. Whether you like it or not, they are, because they run the two biggest countries in the world, basically. Well, China obviously is included. But I think Mr. Vladimir Putin, because it's so difficult to get access to him, whereas Mr. Trump, actually, considering he's the President of the United States of America, seems pretty accessible. I mean, for instance, he got he managed to find time.
I've got to interrupt you because she's serving. Serena is serving a match point.
She is.
Let's go to Lisa.
And she's won it. Absolutely unbelievable performance from Serena Williams there. We haven't seen her look that focused and that determined for a very, very long time. And she won that service game to love. Jo Konta doing her best to stay in the match, but Serena Williams is the best in the world. Yeah, this is her 17th Australian Open, joint with her sister for appearances in Melbourne, into the quarterfinal for the 11th time, the 47th career Grand Slam quarterfinal as well. She is a 22-time Grand Slam champion, and she's pushing on in her bid to make it 23 and beat that record by Steffi Graf. There is still the potential that she will play her sister Venus in the final, but Jo Konta now knows exactly what it is that makes Serena Williams the greatest female player of all time. She will go away, she'll have a reset, she'll have a think again, and she'll surely have her chance again to beat Serena Williams. But today, it is Serena Williams who has won the match 6-2, 6-3.
Didn't really look like she was in it at all.
No,
and very disappointing.
And that's the thing about women's tennis, really. During the course of our show, which is 3 hours, there wasn't even any action in the first hour. But in the last 2 hours, it's all sorted.
Yeah.
And that's because Serena's so dominant.
She is very dominant, and it didn't go the way we thought. But anyway, let's finish off with a couple of quick Ask Porkies. Darren says, what's the best way to start the day?
Well, for me, the best way to start the day is to get up very early. About 4:30 is the perfect time for me to get up. A cup of tea is always very welcome to start the day, and then get out into the fresh air. Literally, that's why I go and feed ducks. I like to get out into the world. The world's your own, between 4:30 and 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, because there's nobody else about. And you can get things done magically. Those 2 hours, if you just get down to business, you do more in those 2 hours than you do in another 6 hours in the afternoon.
Now, a slightly personal one here from Sarah. Hi, Porky, she says, if I was to leave my husband, would you marry me instead and make me the first Mrs. Parry?
No, I wouldn't, Sarah. I'm sure you're a wonderful lady, and it's very kind of you to consider me as a future partner. But I've gone through my life without getting married, and to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't be a situation that I would enter into now, because I suppose, I have a life which is regulated and formulated, which I can't really break.
And one final question from Paul. We haven't been able to get to all of them, of course. If Hollywood ever made a movie of your life, who would play you and who would you choose as your leading lady?
Well, my leading lady, you see, I'm not well up on leading lady actresses. I would want, like, Elizabeth Taylor at her prime, right, if you could do it historically, because I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And as for playing me, that would definitely have to be Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite short as well, wasn't he?
What?
He was quite short.
I've no idea.
He's just a stand
What's that got to do with me?
Well, because he might as well get somebody who's the same shape as you.
Don't be ridiculous. Tony Curtis, I thought, was great, by the way.
Yeah, he was short as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Today you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. That was the Asky Porky section. Coming up later on tonight will be Porky Vision, of course.
Yep.
And then the Porky Quiz. I suppose we have to check and see how that's going.
Yeah.
But I've got a very nice picture here.
Well, I think we know, don't we?
Well, the last time I checked,
Winston
it was Winston Churchill, but I still need to check before the end of the show because I wouldn't want to mislead anybody.
Yeah.
It's currently standing at 58 to 42 in favour of Winston Churchill. So unless something changes in the next 10 minutes, I suspect that's what we'll be doing.
Okay.
But I've got a great picture here from Ian for a nice wee burdened supper at my sister's. And well, he says, well, I say wee, but it looks very nice. We've got the tatties, got the neeps, got the haggis, and he's also got a rather nice can of Copperberg cider.
Oof.
Strawberry flavoured, I think.
Strawberry flavoured cider, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But
no, listen, when we were teeing up our show a bit earlier on...
Teeing it up?
Yeah, I mentioned parkour to you, Parkour.
You did, yes, that's true.
And you said, is that the same as free running?
Yeah.
It is.
Is it?
And apparently, but it's a huge craze now, and it's now a discipline like jiu-jitsu or yoga or something like that, you know? And these people, I mean, they're crazy. They literally go around jumping over walls.
But isn't that a bit dangerous to do it in the centre of London, where you're likely to run into people?
Well, there's a lady here who's actually given up her city job to take it up full-time and become an instructor, and that's the one I was reading about. But, I mean, it's unbelievable. Parkour, that's Parkour, is also known as free running.
Is that a French word?
Well, it comes from, funny you should say that, it comes from l'art du déplacement.
L'art?
The art of displacement.
Of deplacement?
Yeah.
You sure that's what it means?
Well, what does déplacement
Well, I'm pretty
mean?
sure it doesn't mean displacement, which is not a word.
I think it is. L'art du déplacement. Well, I mean, to be deplaced means to be on the move all the time.
But we don't have a word for that.
Well, I think it's movement, the art of movement.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, the art of movement, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, well, that's my knowledge of French, you see. I managed to work that out.
Your knowledge of French is not very extensive.
But it says here, it involves blasting through terrain using only the natural strength of one's body. So it's running, jumping and climbing.
Right.
It developed from obstacle course training and largely takes place in urban environments in which hoodied youths fly through the air and generally act as if they own the place. This month, the United Kingdom became the first country to officially recognise parkour.
Well, listen, I said that to you,
as a sport.
Yeah, and it could end up being in the Olympics, apparently.
Which means, you're absolutely right, it will be able to apply for government and lottery funding and be taught in more schools, where its combination of fun and cool is already gaining a very wide following.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it says the sport was developed in France. So another thing that you picked up on.
Well, wasn't there an unfortunate case quite recently, I think you drew my attention to, of a young guy who was a free runner, but he was killed by a train? Not because he was actually involved in doing any free running, but because his attitude to kind of jumping over things.
He jumped on the train.
Yeah, but did he not just kind of run across a track or something like that?
No. He jumped and grabbed the side of the carriage of a train.
Right.
Now, whether he meant to get off again before he hit the wall or something like that, I don't know. But he was killed because apparently these people are like rubber bands. They have a natural instinct. Apparently, it is literally, it can be addictive. Addictive.
Well,
it can
I'm
be addictive.
sure it provides what a lot of people say running provides, which is a sort of adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
People run, like marathon runners and people who run a lot, say that there's nothing better than the feeling you get from finishing a run.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
You're just saying yep.
No, because I'm getting all my facts together. There's a woman here who's talking about having a city job. I was on a fast-track graduate programme working long hours with a lot of stress. I felt as if I was wasting my life. Then I fell in love with parkour. Within 6 months, I'd left my high-pressure job for one that had a better work-life balance. 6 years later, I left my high-earning desk job altogether. Parkour is absolutely compelling. And this woman is named Naomi Honey. She's 38, and she now does it full-time. She recently...
Well, where does she do it?
Hey?
Where?
In London.
In London.
So compelling did she find her new obsession that she not only renounced her consultancy post, but she now she went on to become a teacher of parkour at Parkour Generations, which is the movement's biggest instruction and performance collective, operating all over London, Britain and the world.
So where is this place?
Well, it's in London, but
we should maybe go there and be taught how to do it.
Well, I haven't got the slightest interest in it.
I'll give you a parkour race.
It can also be called flightality.
Okay.
That applies. It's an attitude that applies to life that she has learnt from the sport. But I mean, she says, excuse me, you won't believe this.
Yeah.
The image of this as a dangerous sport is completely untrue. So she says leaping off buildings and leaping onto roofs and all that is not dangerous. She says, firstly, you strengthen your proprioception.
Proprioception?
Yeah.
Okay.
And proprioception is a sense of where you are in space in relation to other objects in the world.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
You know, so
that you're kind of, it basically means you have to be aware of everything that's around you. A bit like driving.
That's right.
Except you're not in a car.
That's right.
In the sense that when you're driving a car,
you
have to be aware of an awful lot of more things than when you're walking.
That's right.
But because you're moving at speed, I would say, you have to be sort of you have to be attuned, if you like,
that's right,
to what's around you.
So firstly,
like if you see a group of school children, you can't really run towards them.
No.
But if you see something that you can jump over, which is next to the school children, maybe you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Firstly, you strengthen your proprioception or sense of where you're in space, so you become much safer. Second, you're in control. Nobody is tackling you. It is not a contact sport. Nothing's flying at you. It is not somebody taking aim at you.
Right.
You're not tearing down a slope. You're not on an animal like a horse. You are taking responsibility entirely for yourself, constantly assessing whether you can do this, so the injury rate in this sport is really, really low.
So you must have to, though, presumably take evasive action from time to time. I mean, if you're running through, for example, the centre of, I don't know, I would say Cheapside, right?
Yes.
Say you come out for lunch from your high-paying, stressful job.
Yes.
Before you manage to change it.
Yeah.
And you decide to go free running down Cheapside towards St Paul's Cathedral.
That's right.
I mean, you're going to have to jump over cars. You're going to have to leap over bollards.
Yeah,
you're going to have to
so.
avoid people who are walking in the road.
Yes.
You're going to have to avoid people walking in groups down the pavement. I mean, I don't quite see how you can do it in the centre of a city.
Yeah,
without causing havoc.
Well, she says here, this lady, she says, if your mind instantly conjures up an image of a teenager falling to his death while being filmed by his mates attempting to jump between two buildings, that's the sort of mindless stunt that parkour players strive to distance from their sport. Okay?
Well, that's fine, but where do they then run, the ones who are supposedly more sensible?
She says it's very philosophical about extending your capabilities and trying to do things in as playful a way as possible.
Oh, yeah.
It's about developing yourself.
Okay.
And it's as mentally as physically engaging because you're always problem solving. It's the ultimate in mindfulness. I think of it as active meditation because you can't be thinking about anything else except concentrating on where you're going next.
Right.
So that's what she says.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that might be a great thing for her to do, and I'm very happy for her, but I still don't really understand precisely where they do it.
I don't.
Because, I mean, if the image of the sport is that you do it jumping from one building to another, or leaping over walls, or running down sort of, streets, then I don't understand how they can do it in a very crowded situation.
Yeah, no,
and you haven't been able to explain that to me, I'm afraid.
Well, they give a small example here. One particular. She says in this particular area, right? What do I see? The wall, the bench, the railings. I'm thinking a sofa, but I opt for the railings because I still occasionally take a spin on one to impress a passing child. She goes through...
that sounds mature.
Yeah, she goes through a step vault, that's stepping onto and over said railing, while steadying oneself against a wall, a gate vault, which is flopping the body over it, and an underbar slipping deftly between the rails, gradually fusing the moves together until we achieve what's called flow.
Flow?
Yeah, I still don't understand it. Did you ever see, that great detective series based in Oxford? Not Morse, but the one that followed Morse. What was it called?
What, Lewis?
Lewis, that's right. Did you ever see
I quite liked Lewis, actually.
No, I did. Do you remember the start of one? Some kids living on the roof of some college. Do you remember he came down? And then he made his way over to his other college, and he was doing all this, wasn't he? Jumping over walls.
I don't remember that.
I do. Flipping, over railings.
Was this the original Lewis, or when the other guy took over?
It was the original Lewis.
Yeah. Because the tall guy, who's a member of the Fox family,
yes,
he becomes the head, doesn't he? And Lewis ends up retiring.
Yeah, but Lewis is still in the show. Although,
he came back into it, but he disappeared for a while.
didn't he sort of like retire, go on holiday, come back, and then when he came back, the guy you're talking about from the Fox family, did you say?
Yes. He's like Amelia Fox's brother or cousin or something like that.
Yeah, and in the series he was known as Hathaway.
Yeah, possibly right.
Hathaway. Hathaway had been appointed acting inspector.
Hathaway.
And so Lewis had to work for him.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true.
There's a story that we've missed completely
What's
tonight.
That?
You know,
What's that?
It's in the papers this morning.
Yeah.
The headline says it's no Porky, a banger that helps you slim.
Yeah.
And it's actually about this sausage that you would have seen many times in the sausage section of your supermarket.
Which one?
Called Porky Lights.
Porky Lights.
And apparently, from one normal
Not
sausage,
aware of it.
you can eat 10 of these.
What?
The desperate shoppers are roaring in the aisles as they sell out nationwide.
I simply would not want to eat 10 sausages, thank you very much.
Oh, no, but the point is that if you like sausages, right, you can, what it means is that if you were eating, say, one normal sausage, you could eat more than 2 or 3 of these, and it doesn't account to the same amount.
Is that right?
Standard sausage around 25% fat, and even reduced fat versions such as Sainsbury's Butcher's Choice have 8%.
Yeah.
Slimming World has said that Porky Lights having 0.5 sin points on its calorie scoring system.
I'm not really interested in that.
Well, they're called Porky Lights. I think you should give them a go.
Well, I don't think so.
Why don't you try them?
I don't think so,
Why
honestly. I don't think so. The old Brexit thing's in a bit of a mess, isn't it?
It's a total mess,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's actually so boring. It's not going to happen for years, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about it. I mean, the economy seems to be doing okay at the moment, so I think we should just stick with the economy as it is at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact remains that, there's all kinds of manoeuvrings going on. There's going to be a hearing probably in another few days.
Yes.
There's going to be some kind of bill presented by Theresa May. I mean, it's all just mad, isn't it? We'll talk about that, I'm sure, when we have more time, because right now we haven't got any time at all. Johanna Cods are very disappointed he's out.
Very disappointing, I'm telling you.
Jinx is still flying.
Oh, good man. Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mics. I thought, I know what's happening here. This is going to go down the plug hole and end up in the sea. And then it will end up inside a cod. And that cod might be the cod that is chopped up for my fish fingers.
Possible.
I will end up eating the contents of my shower. Look at the light! I mean, what I'm saying is...
Well, dental chairs always did go reasonably flat.
Not as flat as they do today.
Well, they go completely flat.
Yeah, and what I was about to say is, if...
Well, that's not always the best position, though, is it? If you're trying to Rogerise somebody in an office, what are you looking like that for?
God, that's a shocking,
Well, you don't always want to lie
shocking
flat,
injection into the show, that
you
is.
don't always want to lie flat.
Discussing sexual positions in dentist chairs.
I'm just saying.
How low can you go?
Well, quite low on a dentist chair. Oliver Kay.
No, he spelled it differently, didn't he, to everybody else?
Hey?
What's his name?
Ray Kay.
No.
Anyway. Surely you know. You gave a great tribute to him yesterday. Rene Kay.
Rene. Well, Rene was
Well, it's not a very good idea to have a quiz on a guy's name you can't remember.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
If Spanish sausages were any good, Walls would have a factory over there, wouldn't they?
Walls?
Yeah. Because they make the best sausages.
I know, they do.